Orlando North Side.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I just wanted to point out that Trump's right-hand man is a woman. That would be his daughter, Ivanka Trump.
Not anymore. Thankfully, not
Yeah,
anymore. Thanks for the call. Yeah,
she's sitting this one out.
again. Let me try this one more time. Do you really think we need to spend any time talking about all of the women in the Trump administration or on the Trump campaign or all these strong, intelligent women that are supporting Trump? Why would we take a defensive posture? Receive it from Mark Cuban as the gift that it is. Greg in Schaumburg.
Okay, Dan, I totally disagree with you, which is getting to be a frequent occurrence.
Yeah.
Here's
Well,
why
only
I
one of
think
us can be right. It's not you.
Well, and I understand that. I realize that you're gonna be putting me down and telling me how wrong I am. But let me tell you why it's right and why there's precedent for it. It's exactly what Rush Limbaugh did. He is Kellyanne Conway was demonstrating the absurd by being absurd. And the flaw within your process, as I see it, Dan.
She wasn't being absurd. I'm going to stop you because
Wait a minute, let
no,
me
I'm not
finish.
going to. No, 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 no. I just said I'm going to stop you, so that's when you stop. First of all,
Wait.
first
Oh.
of all, she was not being absurd. She was being morally indignant. Now go ahead.
Okay. Well, I disagree with you on that. She was using the media to the common person who's sitting on a Kennedy right now who doesn't have time to be the nuanced individual that, those of us perhaps are, and hitting the common person. And that's exactly what Rush did. Rush knew how to get to the common person and really, entertain them. And that's the part that Dan, I wish you would understand. You have to hit the common person. This is not Kingsfield class every morning. This is radio. You are a broadcast expert, but your job is to be able to get the most amount of people, keep them there for the longest amount of time, and educate them preferably. That's
thank you.
the name of the game.
Thank you for the instruction and the paper chase reference, which I do appreciate. So let me understand something. So demonstrating the absurd by being absurd is demonstrating the absurd by being absurd, which I know Rush was an impresario at. Is that getting morally indignant and defending yourself as a strong, intelligent woman, or defending the Trump administration as featuring strong, intelligent women, or defending the Trump campaign as being strong, intelligent women, or taking the insult that Mark Cuban lodged and saying to everybody, embrace it and use it as a motivational tool? Send Mark Cuban flowers and a thank you card. Which is more demonstrating the absurd by being absurd? Getting all high and haughty and how dare you? Or taking an insult as a compliment and using it against them? Reaching the common man and so on and so forth. Go ahead. I mean, people, that's a rhetorical, that's an actual question. People can draw their own conclusions, but I think the argument that Greg makes is silly. Rich in Indian Head Park.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. These comments by Mark Cuban about strong women, and the comment Bill Clinton made that you should still vote for Harris because even though Trump's economy was better, and this last comment that we've heard all week about Biden calling all the Trump orders garbage, are any of these what people are calling an October surprise? Well, let's change the voting and turn it towards Trump strongly.
Are the insults, are they an October surprise? Is that what you're asking?
The comments that Cuban made about women not being strong, and Clinton talking about how Trump's economy was better, and Biden calling
people garbage. Yeah, thanks for the call, Rich. I mean, it's an October surprise in the sense that it's surprising that Mark Cuban and Joe Biden are deciding to help Trump in the closing days of the campaign. I guess that's surprising. It's surprising how undisciplined they are. It's surprising that they don't understand who their audience is. I don't know that it's a surprise that they have sprung upon the Trump campaign or Trump world to push the election to Kamala in the closing days. I don't really see that calculus, but I guess
think
that's
Biden
surprising.
planned it. I mean, think about it. The first time he ever goes into the White House press room, ever, Dan, is when Kamala's having her first big campaign speech in Michigan, the important swing state of Michigan. And then he's, DeSantis. He's like, I talked to DeSantis. We have each other's number. And Kamala's like, well, he's not returning my phone calls. I mean, Biden has made her look like a fool every step along the way.
Well, J.D. Vance, he was on with Rogan, and he's willing to put money down that both the Bidens are supporting Trump. I mean, both Bidens, meaning the big guy and baby boy Hunter.
I would bet $100 that Hunter Biden is voting for Donald Trump for president.
It doesn't seem like he likes his dad. It seems like
I
he
think
wanted...
his dad. I might bet $20 on his dad voting for Donald Trump for president, especially last night after the garbage comment.
Oh yeah,
that guy is trying to help Donald Trump. We're gonna win. I think we're gonna win. But after we win, I'm going to be convinced that Joe Biden was trying to help us the whole time.
Well, here's
he put
one
on the MAGA
thing.
hat.
The MAGA hat was crazy.
That was crazy.
When he put on the MAGA hat in front of those guys and they all cheered, and he insisted on keeping the hat, and he took it with him. I think he's very, very resentful that he got ousted in what was essentially a coup.
Yeah.
And
I'd love to know what happened there, by the way.
I would love to know what happened.
So what should we spend our time doing? Posting videos on social media, getting all morally indignant, tell Mr. President we're not garbage? I mean, let Trump do that the way that he did that in Green Bay, which is to say, you can't love America if you don't love Americans. Fine. That's good. But should we spend our time doing that, or should we take it in the way that Vance and Rogan are taking, particularly Vance, which is take it as a note of appreciation? Thank you very much. Whether the help was inadvertent or purposeful, either way, it's helpful. A lesser person, Mark Lamont Hill, you may remember him from CNN. He got fired from CNN. You know what you need to do as a member of the identitarian left to get fired by CNN? But his anti-Semitism was just a little too much for CNN to countenance, so he's now gone over to Al Jazeera, and where he can, his anti-Semitism is more mainstreamed. Al Jazeera, and Mark Lamont Hill, who's by the way also a professor at Temple University, of course he is. This to say about anyone voting for Trump.
And these are deplorable people. Anyone in 2024 that is willing to vote for Donald Trump is deplorable, and it's a morally indefensible position.
So should we have Kellyanne Conway cut another video saying I'm not a deplorable person? Greg and Schomburg? Or should we
I want to hear from Sarah Sanders.
Continue to post these sorts of things to our friends and on the proverbial digital bulletin board and use them as motivation? I'm sorry, what? Sarah Sanders?
Yeah, you want to just...
Mark Cuban just said there are no strong, intelligent women around President Trump. It's a disgusting lie. And it's pretty funny coming from Democrats who can't even tell you what a woman is.
There you go.
I worked for President Trump for 2.5 years. Democrats tried to tear me down. President Trump empowered me and every other woman in America. My name is Sarah Sanders, and I'm proud to join the millions of smart, intelligent women who will stand with Donald Trump this Tuesday.
That's somewhere in the middle. That wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Kellyanne Conway's was hackneyed. I'm glad you and Greg from Schomburg liked it, but it's pathetic.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, updating the story we began the week with, hate crime and terrorism charges now filed against that West Rogers Park shooter. That's 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley is in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 42 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Donald Trump is suing CBS News for $10 billion for allegedly making Vice President Harris look good in a 60 Minutes interview. Trump's legal team filed the lawsuit on Thursday, claiming the network edited the footage to cast Harris in a positive light. The network says Trump's claims are false and that the interview was not doctored. Enrollment is up at Illinois public universities. The Illinois Board of Higher Education released its enrollment report for the fall semester of 2024-25 academic year. There were nearly 3,000 additional students across all state universities this fall, representing an overall enrollment increase of 1.6%. It was also the highest overall enrollment in 8 years. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Properties, Christie's International Real Estate.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree that Fox Valley Coins is on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold, from broken jewelry to gold bars to old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver, from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check, and we make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8, 2025, if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at www.robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodity interests can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Display prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. This station does not recommend any specific investment.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Northbound Route 53, the exit ramp remains closed to Higgins, and that is all due to an accident. Crews are on the scene. Another crash northbound side of the Tri-State right before Thornton Quarry starts backing up at Chicago, and the two right lanes are taken out on that. Going in on the Edens, you're fine. The Kennedy Inn from O'Hare to downtown, that looks good. The Eisenhower is fine from 390 into the post office. Stevenson wide open, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The inbound Rhine is a 12-minute trip. Skyway, I-57 all clear. No troubles to report along the Bishop Ford. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is fine either way as well. Jane Addams looks great. The Reagan and the Veterans Memorial Tollways all good. Traffic is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. See Marvin Products in their beautiful showroom at the corner of Lake and Gary in Roselle, or visit woodlandwindows.com for a free in-home expert consultation. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Lots of sunshine today with a high 53, clear tonight and a low at 40. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 61. A bit of rain tomorrow night, low 49. And then periods of rain on Sunday, the high of Sunday at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling and BLM Brandon and company had a press conference to announce additional charges against the man who went on that shooting rampage in West Rogers Park last weekend, shooting a Jewish gentleman on his way to synagogue, as well as opening fire on first responders responding to that shooting. Larry Snelling with the announcement.
Earlier this week, we announced charges against 22-year-old Sidi Mohammed Abdelhadi. Today, he was additionally charged with one felony count of terrorism and one felony count of a hate crime. This offender remains hospitalized because of his injuries from the shooting that occurred on that date.
And then Snelling went on to characterize the investigation, despite the public cries for hate crime charges to be filed by Jewish organizations, members of the West Rogers Park Jewish community, and so forth. This was not the result of any public pressure. This was the result of dutiful, methodical police investigative techniques that culminated in the necessary evidence to file said charges.
There must be sufficient evidence to support hate crimes and terrorism charges. And it was important we took our time to thoroughly investigate and confirm that this was indeed a crime of that nature. So I want to be clear about one thing, and I want to make this clear to everybody in every community. We did not secure these charges because of public pressure or because of media attention. As the head of a police department, and the responsibility that we have in law enforcement is that we will never go out in public, make statements, allegations, accusations, or attempt to bring charges without any proof of what we're attempting to charge someone for.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. Does that satisfy the criticism that I lodged earlier this week about Superintendent Snelling's lack of transparency about the details in this case and his unwillingness to, and his subordinates' unwillingness to address what was allegedly said while that man opened fire on that Jewish gentleman and other people, as well as the knowledge that Chicago police most certainly had, because I had it, that about this individual's status in this country. Is that what Snelling said there? They just went where the evidence led, and you had to give them time, and now they've filed the enhanced charges to include a hate crime and a terrorism charge.
Well, I listened to the whole press conference while I was in my car, and they asked him repeatedly, can you just tell us where he's from? He's here illegally. from that country in Africa that still has slavery that you've mentioned before.
Mauritania.
Yeah, Mauritania. Why can't you say? He just wouldn't say it. And he's staying with a relative on the south side.
It hasn't been reported. I haven't seen it in Chicago press accounts. CNN actually did include it. We know this, too. ICE confirmed that the individual now charged with those hate crime and terrorism charges, in addition to attempted murder charges and aggravated illegal use of a firearm, is, in fact, an illegal alien, and he entered in March of last year in San Diego, as we reported here on Monday, first to do so. On October 29th, officers from ICE lodged an immigration detainer with Cook County Jail in Chicago on said Mauritanian national, following his arrest on those 6 counts for attempted murder and 4 counts of aggravated discharge of a firearm. So the only problem is, and that this is probably why he didn't want to answer the question about country of origin and immigration status, because, well, the ICE put this detainer on him, but Chicago is a sanctuary city.
Yep, bingo.
So that guy standing behind you with the well-manicured coif is not inclined to honor that ICE detainer, is he? So whatever happens to this guy, in Cook County, in the hands of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, whatever, and the Cook County judges, whatever time he gets, who knows? He could be back out in the streets and back on America's streets at some point in his life. He's only 22 years old. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. So I'm sorry. I want to give Superintendent Snelling the benefit of the doubt, as we discussed earlier this week, because so many people that we know on the force have said that he's a good cop and he's trying to do the right thing and so on and so forth. But his handling of this situation is subpar as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, this is an illegal immigrant who was apprehended, then released by the Biden-Harris Border Patrol, and because of the policies they have in place.
Well, he
tried to kill a police officer.
We don't know that actually. We're still trying to find. No, we're still trying to find out. He was supposedly to be deported, and then something happened.
Well,
and we don't know why he was supposed to be deported. I doubt it was just because he entered this country illegally, because that's not even a crime under this administration. And then what happened with the supposed to be deported between March of last year and this past weekend in Chicago?
And it's weird because he told Border Patrol agents that he's going to live with a friend in Indiana, although he also told Border Patrol agents he didn't fear being returned to his country, and he later filed for asylum. That case is pending. Doubt that's going to happen, but you never know in this crazy world. Why can't they just say he's an illegal migrant? Because everybody knows that. Everybody in that press room yesterday knew that too, because they talked to ICE and they got the same information that you first broke here on Monday. Let's think. We have an election on Tuesday. We don't want to make the Biden-Harris administration look bad.
Well,
this is bad on a number of levels.
Right. We also don't want to make this administration look bad, because now we get a bunch of uncomfortable questions about our sanctuary city, county, state designation.
And Kim Fox was there yesterday too, trying to be relevant. Poor thing. And she kind of said this, Dan. She leveled the terrorism charges. Oh, and attempted murder of a police officer. Just kind of threw that in, like, oh, and by the way, she's a disgrace too. They're all up there too, and they're covering up a lie. Just come out and say it.
I mean, don't you get it? By the way, this is the political.
Sick of getting played every day.
Yeah, this is the political culture in Illinois generally. I mean, I hate to bring a suburban alleged Republican into this. No, I don't. I don't hate to do it at all. I'm happy to do it. Anybody got that final report? I haven't got my copy from Jim Mendrick in DuPage County.
Oh, on that
Willowbrook mass shooting with 22 people shot and 1 person killed.
And 95 shell casings found. Yeah.
When we got the high hat from Jim Mendrick about being anti-police by asking questions and demanding transparency. Well, if I do it for Larry Snelling or any other Chicago police superintendent, shouldn't I do it for the sheriff in DuPage County and any other sheriff and any other police chief. I mean, obviously, we have great regard for law enforcement on this show, but that doesn't mean they're beyond reproach. That doesn't mean that they just get to dictate to us sans any standards. No. It's just like you expect from your political leaders, you expect from their appointees, particularly in sensitive positions, to be leveled with and to entertain the tough questions and to have difficult conversations about public policy, particularly when the public policy is creating a public safety hazard, like, say, the sanctuary designations in this city, county, state.
I mean, this father of three, this lovely Jewish man who was on his way to the synagogue, if this monster's gun did not jam, he would be dead.
Yeah, he went.
And by
he
the
went
grace
he went
of God, he is still alive.
He went to execute this guy. I mean, point blank range and his gun jam. That's right. We mentioned that the other day. In addition, we know now from the evidence that was gathered from his phone that his intention was to, and I don't know what the specifics are. It's not only to get into specifics, but that the evidence from his phone indicates that he was intentionally targeting people for being Jewish. He wanted to hurt people who were Jewish.
He specifically drove from the South Side to that Jewish neighborhood to kill somebody.
And let me be clear on this too, that that's fine to wait until you go through his possessions and his phone to establish the evidence to add charges against this individual. But that doesn't eliminate the need to be transparent and level with the public about these other matters we raised. Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, so I'm not a lawyer, but Dan, maybe you can answer this. They charge him with terrorism. Is that not a federal crime?
There's a state
and if so,
there's a state level terrorism charge as well.
Oh, well, where's the feds though?
Well, I mean,
scoop them up then.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. I mean, it could be level of Department of Justice could come in and charge him with federal offenses as well. But I'm saying just in our criminal code, there's a state level terrorism charge you can be charged with. But you're right. It's possible the DOJ will take a look at this.
Question about the firearm. Where did he get the firearm? Was it legally purchased?
Mark and Rochelle.
Yep, that was my question. It's why aren't we hearing about, a laundry list of charges related to the firearm, how it was used, where it was bought, where it was legal, blah, blah, blah. I think that they're just trying to keep it quiet as they can because it was an illegal.
Mm-hmm. An illegal killing
call,
a Jewish member of the community.
Well, attempting to.
George, and a police officer.
George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, does the city have a violence interrupter division that works specifically with the illegals?
Right. Yes, we're going to have to hire, current or I guess you'd say former illegal aliens as violence interrupters for the present illegal aliens, the way we do with gangs in Chicago, the domestic violence threat. Just to fit this in other anti-Semitism news emanating from Chicago, that CPS board president that we spoke of the other day in advance of that conference on anti-Semitism that's being held at Moody Bible this weekend, the good Reverend Mitchell Johnson, he has now resigned because of the heat that the BLM Brandon and company are getting over all of the anti-Semitic comments that he has made on social media over the years, including but not limited to essentially rationalizing the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas against those 1,200 Jews they murdered.
He's pro-Hamas. Mm-hmm. And he's also a conspiracy theorist. He was on VON radio talking about 9/11.
Well,
was a conspiracy theory and other things. But I was there. Brandon Johnson said, no, he's properly vetted. All of these candidates properly vetted. When asked, did you have time to do that? Low-hanging fruit. He had Facebook posts.
Well,
that were anti-Semitic.
That is proper vetting. These statements don't bother BLM Brandon.
No, not at all. And now he's acting holier than thou. That we love the Jewish community, and look, I'm here at a press conference with Alderman Silverstein because I love Jewish people. Shut up, Brendan Johnson. He's a phony.
It's a real coming together. Maybe that Reverend Johnson, he's not good enough to to be CPS board president, but maybe he can land on his feet, get a job as like the president of Northwestern University or someplace else that otherwise indulges that sort of anti-Semitism spewage that emanates from his mouth and his fingers, the good reverend.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Shifts podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Kamala Harris is closing the presidential campaign by calling former President Trump a fascist. She wants voters to fear he will centralize power in his own hands for his own radical and totalitarian ends. The claim, as ugly as it is, doesn't stand up to scrutiny. In fact, Kamala Harris is the one who's offered radical plans with a totalitarian flavor. Kamala Harris is the one who tried to censor Donald Trump, actually calling for him to be thrown off social media. She's open to expanding the number of justices on the Supreme Court, just because she doesn't like the way the court rules. And the Harris campaign has promised to eliminate the Senate filibuster to make Roe v. Wade the law of the land. Ignore the name-calling and look carefully at Kamala Harris's plans. Then vote accordingly. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
AM 560, The Answer.
Speaking of totalitarian re-education camps, I did mention Northwestern University and also CPS. Harvard. A Harvard Memorial Church student program is slated to host a, quote, reading Taylor Swift as a sacred text. Organized by the Memorial Church Student Program Coordinator and Multi-Faith Engagement Fellow. Of course.
Why not?
What the event description, what can reading the text that matter to us as sacred tell us about ourselves and our lives? Discover a new way to engage with the Taylor Swift canon.
What?
The Taylor Swift canon, oh boy, that honors the important emotional and spiritual role her work plays in many people's lives. Bring your favorite Taylor Swift song, and we'll bring the sacred reading practices. We'll be using Lectio Divina, an ancient Christian monastic reading practice, but the insights you gain from this practice will not necessarily be connected to the Christian tradition or religious in nature. No, of course not. Spiritual. Students are invited and encouraged to bring insights and wisdom from their own lives, traditions, and backgrounds. Reading Taylor Swift as a sacred text at Harvard. Mm-hmm. By the way,
Harvard.
This is not
$80,000 a year. Okay.
At least. This is not unusual. Harvard previously had a class that where there was an all-nighter to review the release of her new album, The Tortured Poets Department. Oh, she's, yes. Boy, you want to talk about the degradation of culture, where Taylor Swift is considered a poet. I mean, 100 years ago, it was the likes of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and now it's devolved down to Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, the Taylor Swift canon as a sacred text. This is a school, like most Ivy League schools, that was founded as a divinity school. But, it reminds me of what Chesterton said, right? When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything, like Taylor Swift's canon.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, we'll review some more of that J.D. Vance interview with Joe Rogan, and also fold in the latest effort by the media to gaslight the public, the accusation that Trump proposed the execution of Liz Cheney. That's at 6:06.
Oh, my God. And another Harris campaign ad that's insulting our intelligence. It is now 6 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
They keep going to the same states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, 4 days till the election.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. We're going to get them out. We have no choice. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered.
Former President Trump in Henderson, Nevada. Well, Vice President Harris rallied in Reno.
I pledge to you to always put country above party and self, and to be a president for all Americans.
Now, they also both went to Arizona, and there will be Trump and Harris rallies tonight in Wisconsin. The former president will also go to Michigan. This, though, as all that campaigning won't matter to the nearly 64 million Americans who already voted early, setting records in some states like Georgia, a toss-up state where more than half of registered voters have cast ballots.
More than 3,650,000 Georgians casting their ballots. The number will increase until early voting in the state ends on Friday and easily exceeds the 2.3 million Georgians who voted early in the last presidential election.
Fox's Jack Callahan. The controversy keeps simmering over President Biden calling Trump supporters garbage. White House officials edited the transcript of Biden's comments over the objection of the stenography office.
The White House added an apostrophe to the word supporters to indicate that Biden was calling the joke made by the comedian during Trump's Madison Square Garden rally garbage and not his supporters overall.
Fox's Brooke Singman. 2 people are dead in Orlando, Florida after shooting on the streets downtown, scaring people for real during a Halloween celebration after midnight.
We talked to 2 people who are bartenders, and they said that they had to hide. They didn't see the shooters, but they heard gunshots. So they said that it was a very tense and scary moment.
That's Marley Capper with Fox 35 TV. 6 other people were shot and wounded. They did arrest a suspect, a 17-year-old. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 41 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Donald Trump is suing CBS News for $10 billion over a 60-minute interview with Vice President Harris. Trump's legal team filed the lawsuit on Thursday, claiming the network edited the footage to cast Harris in a positive light. The lawsuit says CBS participated in, quote, partisan and unlawful acts of election and voter interference and substantial news distortion when it aired the interview. Mayor Johnson's $300 million property tax hike is not getting much support from Chicago aldermen. The mayor says the tax hike will prevent city layoffs. Some are citing eliminating vacant police department positions as a non-starter. Under the property tax proposal, the owner of a $250,000 home will now pay $222 more each year. City leaders will have 2 weeks of budget hearings starting next week and must pass the spending plan by December 31st. The Cubs are reaching a settlement with the Justice Department to make Wrigley Field more accessible for disabled fans. The DOJ filed a lawsuit in 2022 against the Cubs, claiming the organization's renovation and reconstruction of Wrigley Field discriminated against individuals with disabilities. The suit claimed that the Cubs failed to provide wheelchair users with adequate sight lines and failed to incorporate wheelchair seating into premium clubs and group seating areas. Under the settlement, the Cubs will make numerous renovations to ensure accessibility for people with disabilities. News is a service of the Chicago Board of Elections. Early voting in downtown Chicago is now open through Election Day, November 5th. Go to the Chicago Voting Supersite at 191 North Clark or board offices at 69 West Washington Street on the 6th floor to vote. Go to chicagoelections.gov for more information. A check of the roadways coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher can see the hatred.
She thinks the holiday that celebrates the discovery of the Americas and the birth of Western civilization is a horrible thing. It's because she's not very fond of the United States of America. Americans aren't going to elect a president who has such deep disdain for the founding of Western civilization.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet. We can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak. Taking a look at the roads, it's still wide open going inbound on the Edens. 25 from 390 into the post office. Stevenson moving quickly from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Some delays forming on the inbound Ryan from the Stevenson to 18th at 14 minutes. Tighten the express lanes 33rd to the Stevenson. Skyway is open, so is I-57, but the Ford inbound slow Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Northbound 394, an accident at Glenwood Dyer Road. Tri-State North slowing 8094 to Thornton Quarry with an accident on the shoulder. And northbound Route 53, the exit ramp to Higgins is closed as crews continue to clean up an earlier crash. Traffic is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate experts in the northwest suburbs in Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. Call 708-828-0000. Again, 708-828-0000. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly sunny skies, high 53, clear tonight and a low 40, and then partly sunny, very nice day tomorrow, the high 61. Showers late tomorrow night, low 49. Rain on Sunday, the high again at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, they're cracking up on the other side. The headline in the Drudge Report, Trump calls for Cheney's execution. World in shock.
News at 11.
Ex-president increases violent threats against opponents.
Oh, God.
Trump calls for Cheney's execution. Yeah. Trump says Warhawk, this is CNN, Trump says Warhawk Liz Cheney should be fired upon. An escalation of violent rhetoric against his opponents. What did Trump actually say?
Do tell.
He sat down with Tucker Carlson, and he had this to say about Liz Cheney, and I would say chicken hawks, not war hawks, but chicken hawks like her.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
Is that calling for Liz Cheney's execution?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
We have another such instance where we've got to correct the record. And by the way, on the correcting the record, we're getting some help from the left, which we'll get to in just a minute. Trump speaking in Wisconsin at Green Bay rally, in full safety vest.
I love it. Oh, so many people had safety vests on for Halloween yesterday. It was brilliant.
It spreads quickly, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Trump had this to say about protecting women from...
You mean us stupid folk?
Well, here, yeah, actually, you know what? First, let's hear from Kamala.
Okay.
Let's hear the mischaracterization, so then we can correct the record, just like we did with Liz Cheney. Unless you think the statement that Trump made, a shot across the bow rhetorically against chicken hawks, was really calling for Liz Cheney's execution. He's saying the same thing you would say, put yourself in that circumstance. I'd like to see her in that circumstance and see if her opinion would change. That's obviously what he's saying. He's not calling for anybody's execution. It is the hyperventilation of the hysterical, like Matt Drudge and Liz Cheney and the D.C. press corps and the Kamala Harris campaign. So Kamala in Madison commenting on something Trump said in Green Bay. First, the Harris comment, and then you'll hear what Trump actually said.
I will comment on the former President Donald Trump's remark about women and whether they like it or not. And listen, it actually is, I think, very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority, their right, and their ability to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies.
So you would think, hearing that comment, whether they like it or not, was the reference to what Trump said, that Trump made some comment about abortion. We're going to ban abortion whether they like it or not.
No, he didn't say that.
No, the whether they like it or not is Trump talking about protecting women from predators that Biden and Harris have invited into this country. See if you agree with Kamala's castigation of Trump after you hear what Trump actually said.
Kamala has imported criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, including savage criminals who assault, rape, and murder our women and girls. Anyone who would let monsters kidnap and kill our children does not belong anywhere near the Oval Office. And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said... They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Well, there is the whether they like it or not.
Boy, wow, and everyone went with that. Holy cow.
So that's
my first time hearing it in complete,
That's saying women don't have agency? Is that what Trump was saying? Women don't have agency? Because he's saying whether they like it or not. He's basically saying, whether they like my approach to border security or not, I'm going to protect them.
Oh, my God. It had nothing to do with abortion, and they all spun it as if he was trying to control women's bodies.
It also has nothing to do with women's agency, unless there are women that want to make the choice to be harmed or killed by someone in this country illegally. Is that what I'm to understand? How dare you tell women that they can't be murdered by a person in this country illegally? By the way, it just says
desperate right now.
And if he's not being a bit of a fabulous in terms of the staff reaction, I want to protect women in this country. Is that wrong to say? I thought that was part of the job of the men in society. I thought, is that now misogynistic? Are you going to be called a Neanderthal by Joe Biden again for suggesting that men have a responsibility to protect women? Yeah, I get women can be police officers and they can be protected. I get it all. But I mean, this goes back to the conversation we had with Joy Pullman yesterday about everyone's transgender now. Men behaving like women and women behaving like men. I mean, so even if you take it the next level, that it's some sort of, appeal to male-female stereotypes, is that such a bad appeal? 312-642-5600. By the way, on this matter of mischaracterizing both what Trump says as well as what Joe Biden says, mischaracterizing to the detriment of Trump, of course, and mischaracterizing to the benefit of Biden. Talking obviously about Trump supporters are garbage. We're getting a little bit of help from the left, somewhat surprisingly. Anna Kasparian, who is on that Young Turks podcast, which is popular with the young Bolsheviks. She went after Biden because she knows the comment is harmful.
Can we just please not provide cover for our leaders when they make mistakes like this? That was a terrible mistake that Biden made. It should not be justified. Again, if you're a private citizen and you have your personal views about the Republican electorate, that's on you and that's your business. You have not taken an oath to represent the country. You're not the president of the United States. And I don't know why anyone would think it's a good idea to celebrate or applaud political culture in this country that allows for the president to just regularly trash tens of millions of people that he himself is supposed to be representing. That is not a good culture to set. And things will just continue devolving. I don't think that this is a winning thing to do. I'm not proud of what Biden did. And honestly, the thing that frustrates me even more is that after he made those statements, even though he was on video making those statements, a bunch of people are totally gaslighting about how it didn't happen. It's totally made up. It's fake. It's a scary world that we're currently living in, where a lot of people, a lot of voters, a lot of people in the media, just not based in, their views are not based in reality at all. And they would rather lie to people in order to cover up a mistake or a terrible act of an individual in a position of power. I don't even recognize what's happened to the Democratic Party anymore, to be honest. And luckily, you have people like Kamala Harris pushing back. And I'm really proud of her for doing that.
See, you have to wait for it. You have to wait for it. Because
pushing back, what they're calling her sister soldier moment because she tried to separate from Biden. What the heck is that?
Sister soldier.
Sister soldier moment. When that's what the mainstream media was calling it because
who's sister soldier?
I don't know.
Sister soldier.
Sister soldier. Okay, so
Sister soldier from the Clinton. You don't remember Sister Soldier from the Clinton days? Okay.
Well, I'll
all
Google it, right? But I'm just saying that they're saying that this is her moment because she finally pushed back and separated herself from the Biden administration. By what? Talking for 30 seconds on the tarmac?
No, but the Kasparian thing is so interesting because it speaks to, it's like Bill Maher. People, cheerlead Bill Maher. Yeah, but remember who they are. They want Kamala to win. The reason they're being openly critical is because they understand it hurts the possibility that they will get what they want. It's the same thing that her colleague, Cenk Uygur, Young Turks podcast, said about Deborah Dingell and all of the others, now the D.C. press corps, running their mouths about Trump, suggesting that Trump will put his political enemies and or people in this country illegally or even legally under TPS in internment camps. Listen to Cenk Uygur.
So when Debbie Dingell says he's going to start internment camps, he never said that. That is not helpful. On that, you're 100% right. Because once she says something that he didn't say, then not only the right wing, but independents will discount every other thing you've said. Not just every other thing you've said, but every other thing that anyone on the left has said. He never said internment camps. Don't say that.
Yeah, well, they should discount just about everything people on the left say, other than those that are at least willing to correct some of the record. But before you get too excited, remember, these people are just rooting for their team, and they're saying, play better. Stop throwing the ball to the other team. Because then Uygur went on to have this exchange with Kasparian.
And the notion of a fascist. Because look, if we're just going to use fascist toward anyone we dislike, all right, then the word doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, what do you want me to say, Anna? You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. Right. I mean, if that's not fascist,
so he corrects the record
and
then invents a new record.
But was he able to do those things?
First of all, his entire cabinet had to threaten, not cabinet, administration, his White House team.
By the way, the other thing is,
yeah, and it devolved from there. You get the point.
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with these people just because they say one thing that turns out to be true. Remember what their perspective is. They are trying to get their team to play better. I can't emphasize that enough.
But they're running out of time.
Well, I understand that.
I mean, this is the last Friday before the election. They have this weekend, Monday, and that's it.
Speaking of the 2020 election,
yeah,
going over to J.D. Vance's wide-ranging conversation with Joe Rogan.
Oh, this is, I mean, these two were like old friends. The chemistry was real. It was. I want to listen to the rest of it after the show.
J.D. Vance, every time he goes on to any of these hostile networks or speaks to these hostile outlets, he gets asked about the 2020 election and will you accept the results of the 2024 election? You have to commit right now, and so on and so forth.
It's exhausting.
So he offered this extended perspective on the 2020 election that he doesn't usually get to offer because he's immediately interrupted if he doesn't immediately genuflect before the Klingon Collinses and the Anderson Coopers of the world.
This is where I always get pissed about the media conversation around what happened in 2020. Is what they'll do is they'll sort of find the craziest conspiracy theory about what happened in 2020. They'll debunk it and say, "Oh, look, this shows that nothing bad happened in 2020." There's a nonpartisan organization that actually looked at what would have happened to Americans' votes if they had just known the truth about the fact that Joe Biden fundamentally had traded his political influence for money. Like, that's what it was. It's an old-fashioned American corruption story. I will give you access to powerful people in exchange for money, right? That was the true scandal of the Hunter Biden laptop. Again, it wasn't Hunter Biden doing cocaine with a stripper.
That was the fun part.
You can say that. I have an election to win.
I love Jake.
So that was the real scandal.
The corruption.
It was the corruption. And this
evidence of the corruption.
And direct evidence of the corruption. And a nonpartisan organization said that knowledge, which was suppressed by the entire American media and big tech scene, that would have changed millions upon millions of votes. And we know that the number in 4 swing states was 88,000 votes that were the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden winning the 2020 election. So set to the side all of the other arguments about fraud and all the other rule changes that happened in the midst of COVID. We know that big tech colluded with our own sort of, I would say colluded. The one thing I'll say about Zuckerberg is, and I don't know him super well. I've never had a problem with him, but I do wonder if it's a convenient excuse. I don't doubt that the FBI said, hey, this is Russian disinformation, but these companies still have to take some agency over this too, right? So I think it was both the corruption of the FBI and the intelligence services, but also the big technology companies themselves. Both of them are at blame. And I think fundamentally, if they had not done what they did, Donald Trump would have won another term as president of the United States. You're never going to be able to convince me that if millions upon millions of swing voters knew the evidence of Joe Biden's corruption and it was staring them in the face, that we would not have been able to pull that one out.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly stands to reason. That stands to reason. Something that our friend Nicholas Cass wrote in response to that comment you just heard from Vance on 2020. Nicholas Cass, John Cass's brother, who was a longtime intel officer. J.D. Vance walks Rogan through a classic deep state op, what he calls industrial scale censorship in the U.S. As with deep states the world over, the corporate media is the tip of the spear. Oligarch media barons and their journalists typically operate willingly under the direction of deep state censors to fuel public fear of instability and castigate challengers as anti-progressive science deniers who plot violent insurrection. Sound familiar? And he says, of course, this must end now. He wrote, if you go back and watch a podcast I did with him, my podcast interview of him from December of last year, if you want to do a deep dive on this. But he compares what's happened and happening in this country to the Kemalist deep state in Turkey. And where everything, and so it's, it's history repeating ourselves, nothing new in this world. But I know it can't happen here, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's happening. And everything is a national security issue, right? So, and to suggest it isn't is to be a violent insurrectionist, to be a denier of something that is a settled debate. Mm-hmm. And this is what you see happening system wide in this country. Really good. Or you can read Nicholas Cass's piece from last year at American Conservative as well. It's a great parallel and offers great insight into what's happening. It's entitled "Lessons from a Turkish Coup" at the American Conservative. Mike in Green Bay, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, guys, the one thing I've been tired of for years with the Democrats is this beta male, hypocritical, condescending attitude they have towards men like me. I heard it from Barack Obama the other day when he was speaking, we need to treat women better. They have this attitude that, us men, that we're just a bunch of, unsophisticated ogres who slap women around all day, that we don't have standards. And, that's just the attitude I've been tired of. And one thing that's hypocritical about it is one of the biggest supporters in their party is Travis Kelce, Tay-Tay's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He's the epitome of everything they hate. He is that, kind of ogreish, kind of dumb guy, uber jock. This is the guy who chugged a beer at a college graduation commencement speech.
Yeah, but Taylor Swift is civilizing him now. Thanks for the call, Mike.
Right.
He's doing Pfizer ads.
He's doing every ad he can get in.
Well, don't forget, after we were deplorables, but before we were garbage, I'm talking about male Trump supporters.
Yeah, what were you?
Actually, all Trump supporters, I suspect. We were all Neanderthals. Joe Biden said so. He said so in 2021 over mask wearing.
Message to Texas and Mississippi. Texas, I think it's a big mistake. Look, I hope everybody's realized by now, these masks make a difference. We are on the cusp of being able to fundamentally change the nature of this disease because of the way in which we're able to get vaccines in people's arms. We've been able to move that all the way up to the end of May to have enough for every American, to get every adult American to get a shot. And the last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters.
Put your mask on, you Neanderthals, and also
shut up and get the jab.
Be fearful of the climate apocalypse, you Neanderthals.
The idea there's no such thing as climate change, I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change.
Deplorables, Neanderthals, Nazis, garbage. Dumb, weak women, per Mark Cuban. It's just, the list just goes on and on. If you haven't voted, keep that in mind and spread the word between now and Tuesday.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Okay, this fall season, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements, a proud sponsor of this radio station for 10 years. Remember that pumpkin pie ice cream candy from yesterday's trick-or-treating. They don't provide the fruits and vegetables your body desperately needs every day to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy. Just open up those individual capsules and dust them over a salad, mix them into warm water or a smoothie. That's how I do it. And guess what? Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Here's what you do. Order your fruit and veggie supplements today by calling this number, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, rocking and rolling here. Dan's in studio, getting ready for Freedom Summit tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Dan?
Yeah, it's exciting.
Okay,
coming up at 6:36.
He's all over it, folks.
Vance and Rogan. More on Vance and Rogan. It was interesting how much time they spent talking about the gender identity politics. Quite a bit. And some interesting comments were offered. We'll pour over them. 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 41 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A key inflation gauge is showing positive signs, but Americans say they're still paying too much for groceries. The Commerce Department reported yesterday that the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index dropped to 2.1% last month on an annual basis. That's in line with expectations. Mayor Johnson is defending his proposed $300 million property tax hike. The increase is part of the city's planned $17 billion spending plan for 2025 that the mayor announced before the full city council. The proposed budget includes the elimination of more than 700 vacant positions, a new tax on alcohol, a hike in weekend parking rates. Meanwhile, more dollars go towards violence prevention, helping the unhoused, and youth employment. Public budget hearings will begin on Wednesday. News is a service of the Chicago Board of Elections. Early voting in downtown Chicago is now open through Election Day, November 5th. Go to the Chicago Voting Super site at 191 North Clark or board offices at 69 West Washington Street on the 6th floor to vote. Go to chicagoelections.gov for more information. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Overhead Door, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Trinity School of Natural Health.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hi, I'm Mark Rice, former Texan, energy entrepreneur, family man, and football coach. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. It's time for something different. We've all had enough of losing to the Democrats and the corrupt career politicians that are ruining our state and cities. I'll take action and bring some common sense to Congress. I'm not afraid to meet head-on the challenges we face daily, like the border situation, crime in our neighborhoods, inflation of everyday items like food, gas, and medical needs. We need to protect our freedoms, and I'm the person to get the job done. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Support my campaign in the 8th District, and let's take back our country, one House seat at a time. Vote for me, Mark Rice, for Congress. Go to rice4congress.com to get involved. I'm Mark Rice, and I approve this message. Paid for by Mark Rice for Congress Committee.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Still wide open going in on the Edens. The Kennedy now a 30-minute ride in from O'Hare to downtown. The outbound trip at 25. Eisenhower looks good. 390 into the post office. Stevenson tightening up Cicero to Kedzie on the inbound side. That's at 25 minutes. And the inbound Ryan 16, 95th on in. Tighten those express lanes as well between Pershing and the Stevenson. Inbound side of the Bishop Ford stop and go 111th into the Ryan. Skyway and I-57 are clear. Tri-State North, an accident at Thornton Quarry still blocking the right lane, backing up from 80-94. Eastbound Jane Addams tight into Route 53 and northbound 53, an accident partially blocking the exit ramp from Higgins. This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check up your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Lots of sunshine today with a high 53, clear tonight and a low at 40. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 61. A bit of rain tomorrow night, low 49. And then periods of rain on Sunday, the high Sunday at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Remember about 20 years ago when a group of men sued Hooters saying that they engaged in discriminatory hiring practices because they wouldn't hire men, actual men,
Right.
to wear the little outfits and serve the wings?
Remember it very well.
And Hooters' response was to go on offense, which I appreciated, take out full-page ads in the newspapers back when newspapers mattered with, big, hairy, beefy guys in the Hooters
In the orange shorts
outfit and basically saying, what's wrong with this picture? And ultimately, they won that case. Well, now version 2.0 of that story. Oh, no. It's 2024 America. Meet Brandy, she is not a fine girl, Livingston, from upstate New York, who is suing Hooters, a place he used to frequent, but now she wants to work at.
Justice for Brandy, justice for all. Everybody has justice, trans rights.
I'm suing Hooters for sex-based discrimination on the basis of accommodations and on the basis of employment.
The restaurant has been a regular stop for Brandy Livingston, so much so she hoped to someday work there. However, after her recent transition, Brandy claims that she's not respected there as a woman.
They would use male pronouns. They would refer to me as he.
She claims it goes even further, telling me employees and management at the restaurant continually harass her when using the public restroom.
I overheard one of the servers after I left the restroom talking to one of the managers and said that, why are you allowing him in the women's restroom? And the manager said, oh, I don't like it any more than you do.
Brandy filed a claim with the New York State Division of Human Rights, and after investigating, they found sufficient evidence her rights may have been violated under New York Executive Law 296, and there will be a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
She says she applied 3 times for employment.
I said, do you want to see my experience or anything? Because I had previous jobs I've had written down. And he said, well, we don't care about experience. We hire on the basis of personality, and there's an image that needs to be met.
Hooters has fired back, saying through their lawyers that Brandy was requested to not return to the restaurant because of what they say were her own offensive actions, and allege that Brandy on several occasions made sexually explicit comments to servers. They just claimed that you had, prior to transitioning and after, you had frequently made multiple servers at the restaurant uncomfortable by informing them you wanted to marry them, discussing masturbation.
I never said anything about that.
The Hooters company says that you had threatened to go to a gun range for practice for the next time you came to the restaurant.
My mom would take me to the gun range and for clay pigeon shooting, trap. I feel like one of the servers might have overheard what me and my dad were talking about and misunderstood what we were talking about. What I really want is an apology.
Oh,
I'm never going to get that.
Apology.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer and text line. Right.
I love when the rest of the story comes out. Like, why don't they tell that at the beginning and then,
When he was a dude,
he
was allegedly allowed that would proposition waitresses. But now that he has quote unquote transitioned, he's a magical person that is one of the heroes of society and should be able,
celebrated, Dan.
Well, right, and should be able to call his shots when it comes to employment, even if those short shorts are going to expose his dong when he's serving mostly guys' wings.
Yeah, no, he's clearly he has a problem. And he sounded like he was on something during this interview too.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, the discussion of guns too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's misinterpretations or not. It's really not the point. The point is the absurdity of it all. And it was interesting because this was a topic Well, the absurdity of it all, with respect to cases like this, and then the serious danger of it all when it comes to minors. And it was interesting how much time J.D. Vance and Joe Rogan spent discussing this topic. They're clearly of similar minds on it. But I think the reason they did is because it is such a cultural touchstone right now. And they talked a little bit about the what Vance calls pharma conversion therapy, the money-making piece of this for pharma. But with respect to, the larger issue of what's happening sort of as a cultural phenomenon, J.D. Vance had this to say.
Well, the other thing is, like, if you were encouraging them, and some parents, it's just I'm just going to say it, even though it sounds gross, they want their kid to be a part of the LGBTQ thing because it looks like a flag of virtue that they can post in their front lawn. Yeah. Oh, look, we have a queer child. Like, oh, you're amazing. There's a weird thing about it with some of these nutty parents where you could imagine them there has to be some reason why this enormous percentage of Hollywood kids are trans. Like, how many celebrities have trans kids? It's new. It's not a thing that was going on just it was rare in the past.
It becomes a social signifier for a lot of parents. And we have to be honest about that fact. And if you look at where the gender craziness is the most common, it's most common among upper middle class to lower middle class white progressives.
100%.
Now, you could believe, that there's just like something genetic going on in the mind of a wealthy white progressive, or you could believe that this is a cultural trend that we should be questioning a lot more than we are right now. And unfortunately, I mean, here's one thing that I really worry about is, think about the incentives. People are very good at rationalizing things. If you are a, middle class or upper middle class white parent, and the only thing that you care about is whether your child goes into Harvard or Yale, like, obviously that pathway has become a lot harder for a lot of upper middle class kids. But the one way that those people can participate in the DEI bureaucracy in this country is to be trans. And is there a dynamic that's going on where if you become trans, that is the way to reject your white privilege, right? That's the social signifier.
Yeah.
The only one that's available in the hyper woke mindset is if you become gender non-binary.
Non-binary is the best one because you don't even have to do anything. You can just say I could say I'm non-binary, and like you don't have to do anything, but all of a sudden you're a part of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, being gay is passe. You got to go full trans.
I told you, when gay is not enough. Everybody's gay. And now people keep pushing the envelope. But he was so right about Hollywood elitists, rich people who always tell us what to do and how to vote, that their kids are becoming trans because it is a cool thing to do. There is a movement. I'm telling you, there's something going on with, look at me, society is getting a little bit louder.
Yeah, well, right. As a great man once said, what a society extols, it begets.
And I think that great man might be Dan Proft.
That's true. And he was right. J.D. Vance also shares...
When are you wrong, Dan, is the bigger question.
I've been wrong many a time, I'm
Maybe
afraid to say.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance also shared an interesting anecdote.
I love these two together.
About a trip to Gay Paris he made, his first trip as a member of the congressional delegation. And just the conversation, so this is beyond minors now, just more of a cultural commentary because he's talking about an adult, or this woman was sharing an anecdote about an adult comparing New York to Paris.
Very first congressional delegation trip that I ever took was to Paris. I think it was to Paris. And it's part of the Paris Air Show, and Ohio has all these, aviation interests. And anyway, long story short, I was talking to a very conservative woman at the Paris Air Show who was from Mississippi, and she was probably 65, 70. And it was really interesting because I was just like, how do you find the city? She had never been to Paris before. And I'm just, interested in people. So I was asking her, and she said, what's really interesting is I just feel like Paris, I would think of as very liberal, but but I actually think Paris is more conservative than some of the big cities in the United States. And I said, oh, tell me more about this. And this woman doesn't know me very well, and she's clearly kind of embarrassed to tell me. But she walks through, she says, well, I just don't see any people, like when you're in Paris, the girls are girls and the boys are boys. And that's true in Paris, and that's not necessarily true in some of our big cities. And then she says, she says, Senator Vance, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but when I was in New York City recently, I saw a grown man who was walking around in a miniskirt, and then she gets very quiet and she said, Senator Vance, I could see his balls.
He probably wanted you to see his balls.
And you realize, oh my God, this is not empowerment. This is not respecting lifestyle choices.
Right.
We're letting a grown man walk around in a miniskirt in broad daylight. Like, what are you talking about?
I feel like you should be allowed to wear a miniskirt. If a girl can wear a miniskirt, you can wear a miniskirt. That's not what bothers me.
But
what bothers me is if I have to see your balls.
To flash people in broad daylight in New York City,
you're a pervert. You're just a pervert.
If that's what you're doing, you're a pervert. And I want all of us to say, whatever your political persuasion, just say, no, that's weird.
Right.
You're not allowed to walk down the street and flash children in the middle of the world's or the America's biggest city.
Normally, that would be a crime in certain places.
Yeah, well, so would every Pride parade every year in Chicago.
But just walk down the street in Chicago. Men are wearing dresses all the time.
Well, it's not the dress; it's the balls.
Wait, the balls thing. Yeah,
that should be a T-shirt.
I don't need to see anybody's onions.
It's not the dress; it's the balls. There's no question about that. Even Trump picked up on this too. I mean, in his conversation with Tucker Carlson. He talked a little bit about this with specific to sports, yet yet another angle. There are many into this issue, and then went on a riff attacking Adam Schiff, as he's wont to do.
Nobody's ever come up to me and said, it's really important to me that we allow men to play in women's sports. Nobody. Nobody. And yet, it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal.
Wait, so you think the point may be just to destroy? Just to break the country.
It could be they hate our country.
Could be.
I mean, they may hate our country. And we deal with real scum. I mean, like a guy like Adam Shifty Schiff. He's a sleazebag. And he's probably going to be a senator, if you can believe it. But I call him Watermelon Head. He has the... No, he's unattractive, both inside and out. That is... No, but this is a really bad guy. This is a dishonest guy. Not a dumb guy at all. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen on a human being. He will never be a football player, I can tell you. But he's a smart guy, but he's just a sleazebag. There's nothing else you can say.
I agree with him, actually. I don't know how that neck holds up that head.
I know.
It seems like a physical impossibility.
Just the most bizarre looking person. He seems so evil, too. By any chance, did you have when J.D. Vance was making fun of Kamala Harris or mocking her?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good one.
Mike in Yorkville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Listen to this, and I preach this quite often to quite a few people when dealing with the trans community or people are trying to play in their sports or whatever it is, or just men and women. It's a selfishness that, we have celebrated mediocrity so much that now if you don't have an ability to be able to stand out, now I believe how these people are, it's almost beyond perversion. It's a form of Munchausen syndrome because they're trying to go ahead and display some type of illness that they're trying to disguise as it's not to get attention. And that's all they keep on doing. They want attention because they have never had their parents push them to say, if you're going to be good at something, do really well at it and we'll support you. I can't support somebody saying, oh, I just want to be a girl now from a guy or a girl to a guy. Either way, that's what I believe it's always been. And I believe that mental illness is a lot more, I'd say, across the board than most people want to say.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Well, I mean, there's so much of this is a social contagion, as has actually been fairly well documented for some time. But those studies and the people who would engage in such research are marginalized by the leftist orthodoxy that's in charge of all the institutions in the West. I mean, this is also anti-science. I mean, not just fundamentally it is, of course, anti, nature. But in addition to that, the studies that raise questions, really concerns about, for example, the prescription of puberty blockers, they're just shut down. They're just ignored by the medical journals, by the medical establishment, as we've talked about. And we
talk about that in our breakout session tomorrow at 11 a.m. at Freedom Summit.
Well, and we and Do No Harm was posting, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is now it has a website up with all the hospitals that perform gender transition surgeries, prescribe puberty blockers, and the amount of these children's hospitals and the doctors around the country and the amount of money they're making.
Shocking.
So yeah, it's really a gruesome business that is the product of a gruesome, fallen, generally lost culture.
I know. Brought it upon ourselves. Well, we didn't, but they did. Dan, do you know any women who want to play in men's sports by any chance? Do we have any documentation of any woman that has taken a spot away from a man on a team?
Not since Annika Sorenstam tried to play on the tour, and that didn't work out so well.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary, and I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick. She's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Since you requested, here's J.D. Vance's impersonation of Kamala Harris on Rogan.
The only way I can describe it is she talks in circles.
Yeah.
Right? It's like...
Tim Dillon says it's like she does gypsy curses because she speaks in gypsy curses.
That's very good. But it's, we need to build an opportunity economy, because if Americans don't have opportunity, then they're not going to have the opportunity to be Americans.
He nailed
pretty
it.
good. It was pretty good. I like the gypsy curses. She speaks in gypsy curses is really good. Those two had a lot of fun together. Yeah.
The chemistry was there. They could have a podcast together.
Hopefully J.D. Vance will be too busy for that.
He will be. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we're going to talk to Amber Duke from The Spectator about the two campaigns' ground games, 7:07.
Today it's going to be sunny, a high of 54 at 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Just 4 days to go. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
If elected, Donald Trump on day one would walk into that office with an enemies list.
Vice President Harris in Las Vegas after a rally in Reno.
At the top of my list is bringing down the cost of your living. That will be my focus every single day as president.
If she gets 4 more years, Kamala Harris will pick your pockets bare. We will not have a country. Everyone will flee. Our companies are going to flee.
Former President Trump also in Nevada at a rally in Henderson, again critical of President Biden, calling his supporters garbage.
How stupid is a man to say that? But she believes it too. I'd love to hear their conversation now.
And there's more controversy about that Biden garbage comment.
The White House stenographers come with the House. They are not political. Some of them have been there since Trump and will be there after Biden. And they are now as mad as you will ever hear a stenographer on the record that White House officials working for President Biden tried to change the meaning of their transcript. So it sounded like the president on that Zoom with Voto Latino was just criticizing a comedian instead of all Trump supporters.
Fox's Peter Ducey. That edit put an apostrophe after the R in supporters to try to make it look singular, and only referring to that comedian at the Trump Sunday rally, calling Puerto Rico garbage. There'll be Trump and Harris rallies tonight in Wisconsin, another toss-up state. Nearly 64 million Americans have already voted early. A real scare. During a Halloween celebration in Orlando, Florida after midnight, someone started shooting in the streets, sending people running, causing chaos downtown.
Certain clubs were kicking people out. Certain clubs were locking everyone in.
2 people were shot dead, 6 others wounded. A suspect was arrested, a 17-year-old. The number of deaths in Spain after massive flash flooding this week has just been upped to 200 plus, with more people still missing. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 41 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The candidates hit the Southwest Thursday, hitting 2 key swing states. Former President Trump spoke at a rally in Solid Blue, New Mexico.
If we could bring God down from heaven, he could be the vote counter, we would win this. We'd win California. We'd win a lot of states.
He also held events in Arizona and Nevada with Trump officials saying that there's been momentum building in the entire region. Boeing machinists will vote on a new contract offer Monday. The union has been on strike since September 13th, and they've rejected several offers that union leaders thought would pass. The latest offer would raise wages 38% over 4 years, which is a compound interest of 43%. The union originally wanted a 40% increase. Union members also want their pension plan to return. That new offer does not include that. Mayor Brandon Johnson's hand-picked leader of the Chicago Board of Education is stepping down after sparking controversy over social media posts. The mayor released a statement saying school board president Reverend Mitchell Johnson has resigned. Calls for his resignation grew after social media posts were deemed anti-Semitic after he was sworn in last week. The Board of Education will meet for its regularly scheduled meeting today. Clocks will go back 1 hour this Sunday. Daylight savings time ends at 2 a.m. and starts again in March of next year. That means an extra hour of sleep for the vast majority of the country. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder sees trouble in the swing states.
Down in Arizona, down in Michigan, down in Georgia, down in North Carolina, down in Pennsylvania, down in Nevada. This is why she is now beginning to do interviews. They're scared to death. The smart advice would have been for her to just use the Joe Biden strategy and stay in the basement.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life takes a toll on our bodies, no way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good, and it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet. We can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by Friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. 53 northbound, an accident partially blocking the exit ramp to Higgins, still there. Northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway slowing into the Des Plaines River Bridge with an accident in the center lane. Going in on the Edinger Fine, the inbound Kennedy, a 40-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown, and the Eisenhower 40 minutes, 390 into the post office. 55 north, that slows into Gardner Road. We have delays on the Stevenson in at 30 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Now a 20-minute trip on the inbound Ryan 95th on in. Tighten those express, Pershing to the Stevenson. The crash, northbound 394 at Glenwood Dyer, is on the side, and inbound 57 tight into the Ryan. Traffic is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check up your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Lots of sunshine today with a high 53, clear tonight and a low at 40. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 61. A bit of rain tomorrow night, low 49. And then periods of rain on Sunday, the high Sunday at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The D.C. press corps is really trying to sell this idea that there is a Kamala surge happening over the last couple of days. She's in a CNN poll. She's closed the gap in terms of who Americans think is best poised to improve the economy. And if Trump only wins voters who have the economy front and center as their top issue by a couple of points, then he can't win the election, and so on and so forth. This is the Margaret Hoover. She's the host of A Firing Line, which is on PBS, which is just a tremendous insult to the legacy of a great program that was once hosted by Bill Buckley. I'm sorry they resuscitated it with a lightweight like Margaret Hoover. She's on the CNN panel presented as a GOP strategist. And as Chris LaCivita, Trump's campaign manager, tweeted out, how many CNN viewers know this quote-unquote Republican strategist is married to the Democrat nominee running against Republican incumbent Nick LaLota on Long Island for Congress? Fake news made easy. Come on, man.
That's good.
Yeah, Margaret Hoover is a hack, but like most of the other panelists on CNN and MSNBC, and generally speaking, in the D.C. press corps, she's dutifully trying to advance the flag that there is a Kamala surge.
I mean, as a veteran of two presidential campaigns, when you look at this and you're looking at the numbers here, if you're a campaign insider, what are you paying the closest attention to in these numbers, whether it's Harris cutting into Trump's lead on the economy, or in Michigan and Wisconsin, she does better on honesty and democracy by 15 points in some cases.
I think if you're the Trump campaign, you're not looking at CNN's numbers. You're looking at your own internals. and I honestly think their internals are actually giving them pause, because I think they're seeing even more. Look, they do have a lot of resources for polling, more than public media companies have, and they're probably seeing the same things that you guys are talking about, which is that there is real groundswell in the early vote. There is real enthusiasm, which is hard to measure. I have heard from Republicans that there is concern at the Trump campaign amongst the operatives that actually really do know the political wherewithal, that the turnout and enthusiasm numbers aren't where they need to be.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Who?
I've heard quite the opposite, actually. And I'm not talking about anybody spiking the football here, but it's the opposite. And by the way, in some of the final polling, Trump has extended his lead in battlegrounds as well as the national popular vote. He has he's closed in Virginia, New Hampshire to bring those states in play, perhaps even New Mexico, though that's probably a stretch.
And he's campaigning. He campaigned yesterday in New Mexico. He's going to Virginia.
So, I'm not seeing it. And it's not just the polling, of course. It's also the early voting, which we've been talking about, too. And again, with all the caveats to not extrapolate too much from early voting. But it's not just the leads, but it's also the handle in places like, well, say Philadelphia, where if you compare from 4 years ago, Republican turnout for early voting is significantly up, and Democrat turnout is substantially down, particularly among black voters. And so, again, this is all sort of modeling and predicting and extrapolating, but it's not just the polling. The early voting numbers and the turnout numbers for early voting do seem to support the trend line that has been in Trump's favor for the last couple of weeks into the close. For more on this, specific to the ground game of the two campaigns, pleased to be joined again by Amber Duke, who is the Spectator's Washington editor. She's also the author of The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. Amber, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me back.
So, we know that Kamala's campaign has more money and therefore more staff, including boots on the ground in the battleground states, campaign offices, and the like. But are they prosecuting a superior strategy when it comes to sort of base plus turnout?
Yeah, it's a good question, and obviously we will find out on Election Day, but my suspicion, based on the people I've talked to within the Trump campaign and Republican strategists, and even some Democrats, there is a very distinct difference in how these two campaigns are targeting voters. To start with, just from a generalized level, the Democrats are targeting voters based on demographics. Women, Black, certain age groups, young voters. Whereas the Republicans have a more sophisticated micro-targeting operation, so they are targeting individuals, not demographics. They have all kinds of data you wouldn't believe on voters, which they then match to publicly available voting records, which they put into a voter file. They can basically tell you how someone with 2 cats and a husband who is a practicing Catholic has voted in the past 6 elections and which way they're probably likely to vote this time around. And they can give you their address and their media consumption habits so that they can target them with an ad on TV and make sure that door knockers hit their door. It's actually insane stuff. And the Democrats have not really bought into micro-targeting as a practice yet or as a science. So they're not using it to the extent that the Republicans are. And the way that they are using these distinct strategies is on the Kamala Harris side. They're trying to win over disaffected Democrats, which seems dangerous to me since they are losing key components of the Democratic base, Latino and Black men, to be specific, and then also uncommitted progressives who have an issue with the way Biden and Harris have handled the war between Israel and Hamas. And then on the Trump side, they are trying to basically replicate what happened in 2016, which is that no one saw coming these people who had never voted before and also low to mid propensity voters coming out in droves for Trump. The idea is now that they know this, they have the data on these people, they want to put an organized ground game behind it and actually hit their doors, call them multiple times, and make sure that they're going out to vote.
As a young woman living in Northern Virginia, how have they reached out to you, the Harris-Walz campaign?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that because I have been reached out to incessantly by the Harris-Walz campaign, which I think proves the point that they are looking at demographics, right? 30-year-old young woman living in Northern Virginia, owns a home, is in one of the wealthiest tax codes. She's probably a Democrat, or she must be a Democrat. They obviously don't have the data on me being a regular Catholic Mass attendee. So I have been getting text messages asking me not just to vote for Kamala Harris, but actually to join the volunteer effort, to go door knock for her, to do phone banking for her and other candidates in Northern Virginia. So they have me probably targeted not just as a potential lean Democrat, but as actually a regular Democrat, given the fact that they think I'm going to actually go out and hit the ground for the campaign.
Speaking of regular church attendee, that's the one area of concern I have, particularly after that Arizona Christian University study came out that suggested 32 million Christian regular church attendees would not be voting in this election. And so, Trump wins evangelicals with 80% of the vote. So it's sort of the same thing. It's not as Kamala Harris with some of the traditional constituencies for the Democrats, which is to say it's about the spread, yes, but it's also about the volume, and you need the volume, and is that a particular concern, or is that something from your conversations the Trump campaign has seized upon?
Yes, actually both campaigns are aware of it. That's why you saw Kamala Harris launch an Evangelical Voters for Harris coalition, which frankly I thought was pretty laughable. They were trying to use videos from the late evangelist Billy Graham, whose son Franklin Graham came out immediately and said, hey guys, my dad voted for Trump before he died. And on the Trump side, they are employing a lot of help, which is, I think, both an advantage and a concern, which we can get into, but they're employing the help of a lot of third-party groups, one of which is Faith and Freedom Coalition, that is pouring a lot of money into a ground game. I talked to Ralph Reed, who is the founder of the group, and he said that they were planning on knocking tens of millions of doors ahead of the election, that they are looking at the daily reports put out by secretaries of state on who has voted so far. So they're crossing voters off their list every single day, then going back out and hitting the people who haven't gone out to the polls to actually cast their vote yet. And they're very interested in that group of disaffected Christian voters who were not planning on voting, and they're going to hit them too.
What about concerns over ballot integrity? I know Lara Trump has been weighing in on some of these controversies that have bubbled up to, the public's awareness and consumption and debate. We've talked about them quite a bit. Lancaster County, Dominion machines in Michigan, early voting in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, the video that went viral yesterday of the Kentucky voting machine where the guy couldn't fill in Trump and Vance on the screen, but could Walz and Harris, and Kentucky authorities are looking into this. What's your read from your conversations about how concerned or prepared the Trump campaign is to be hyper responsive to all of these controversies, to put election authorities on notice that they're being vigilant and these things will need to be addressed, and they're going to ensure that they are?
Mm-hmm. And let's just start by saying they really dropped the ball on that in 2020. One of the biggest problems that they had with proving Trump's claims of voter fraud was that they were coming in mostly after the fact and trying to get audits done, as opposed to being on the forefront, having poll watchers in every one of these swing districts and making sure that things were being done originally by the books. It's really hard to prove voter fraud once it happens. So they're more prepared this time. I'm not prepared to say that they are as prepared as they should be because we haven't seen the results yet. But we do have one piece of evidence, which is that when Pennsylvania was, a county in Pennsylvania, Cook County, was reportedly turning away voters from an early vote line because the clerk decided to close at 5 p.m., even though you're supposed to allow everyone who's standing in line to vote. The Trump campaign got there. They had a lawyer. They filed a lawsuit. Initially, they actually sent a letter to the clerk demanding they stay open, and when he refused, they filed a lawsuit, and they ended up winning the suit. And the judges said that they have to keep the lines open until everyone has voted. The RNC, I talked to the chairman, Michael Whatley, a couple of months ago, and he said this is one of the most important things that they've been working on since the RNC takeover. He was a big proponent of election integrity when he was the North Carolina GOP chair. So they have a massive volunteers. They have lawyers on standby. They have a hotline for potential voter fraud cases. It's obviously much more than was done in 2020, and we'll see if it's enough.
Well, what do you predict will happen on election night, particularly in swing states?
I think most of them will actually be called on election night, except for maybe Pennsylvania.
Why is that?
But that's just my gut feeling. Okay. I don't have much evidence for that, except for some of the data I've seen on background that I can't really talk about much publicly.
Okay, but so what does that mean? You don't think the ultimate outcome will be called on election day or in the wee hours on Wednesday? Do you think it's going to be protracted based on that what you've seen that you can't disclose?
I think we'll have it by Wednesday, maybe 3 or 4 a.m. Tuesday night at the latest.
Mm-hmm.
So based on what I'm seeing, the path for Trump is the Sun Belt plus either Wisconsin or Michigan. Okay. It seems to me like Pennsylvania is a little bit more precarious. You see Trump doing his final rally in Michigan, which I think is probably because he knows how to win Michigan. He's done it before. And that was part of the surprise 2016 victory, was nobody thought he could win Michigan. And that's all he really needs, plus the Sun Belt, to take this thing.
That assumes Georgia, North Carolina in his column.
Right.
Yeah.
Any hope for Virginia, though, where you are?
That's interesting. I would normally say no, but the early vote numbers are very interesting here, of course. And actually, if I may correct myself, I actually just got some updated numbers. It's actually not what I just said. It's actually the Sun Belt in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A friend was listening and sent me a text to let me know that their.
I love Friends.
Well, I mean, that's,
Right,
you know.
But everyone keeps saying the road to the White House is Pennsylvania, so.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, and it,
Sunbelt in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
And you see, of course, both campaigns making a big push there. But I certainly think Michigan and Wisconsin are at play as well. On to the Virginia question, the early voting is really interesting because you see that in the Trump counties in, Southwest Virginia mostly, and some of the central Virginia counties, that their early vote turnout has increased by much higher percentage than the Democratic counties have. So let's say Southwest County in Pennsylvania has increased by 150%. A comparable Democrat county has only increased by 50 to 75%. So to me, that doesn't suggest that Trump's going to win Virginia, but it suggests that there is a Republican enthusiasm that the Democrats have been trying to reject for the past month or so.
Well, right, and we've seen that in Pennsylvania too, where some of the data analysis I've seen suggests that the blue wall number that they enjoyed in 2020 is a fraction of what it was is a fraction of what it is in 2024, and some polling from Scott Rasmussen's outfit suggests that, at least for the states that he's been able to put some numbers together, it doesn't seem like the GOP early vote is necessarily significantly cannibalizing the election day vote, so that this really could represent a Trump voter surge.
Yeah, and I think what people should also understand about early voting is that it is a pretty great advantage for any campaign because, again, you have the Secretary of State vote tally that comes out pretty much every single day, I think, in all of these states. And they can match that to their voter file of people whose doors they've knocked or whose phones they've hit.
Right.
And they can cross them off the list. They don't have to worry about them again heading into Election Day. They can target and narrow their focus on just those people on their list who haven't voted yet, which they know this. This is all public data for the most part. So it does shrink the operation required to run through Election Day, which I think, again, based on the fact that Democrats are targeting demographics, Republicans are targeting individuals, I think that's an advantage for Republicans if they're actually putting this much effort into an early vote.
Amber Duke is the Spectator's Washington editor. She's also the author of The Snowflakes Revolt, How Woke Millennials Hijacked American Media. Amber, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
All right, you've heard the turnkey name for years on AM 560. Maybe you thought that you don't need help because you've made it this far with your network. Well, have you grown your business or acquired another business? Do you have more than one network that you've hobbled together? Maybe your sales team has grown, or your client base, or your network is old and outdated, holding your business back from its full potential. Well, all of these reasons can leave your business open for security breaches, stop production, compromise sales, and cost you thousands of dollars. Don't leave it up to the hourly IT manager that comes in when he's available. Turnkey understands the importance of having a network you can count on. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting, all by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro, the champions of small business. That's turnkey.pro.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8, 2025, if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at www.robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodity interests can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Display prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. This station does not recommend any specific investment.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Nebraska female athletes, a half a dozen Division I athletes, females,
Strong women.
The Cornhuskers cut a ad in opposition to this pro-abortion ballot question in Nebraska that has been put on the ballot in several states, including Florida. Take a listen to these young women.
Nebraska, it's time to get off the bench.
Out-of-state activists are pushing a radical amendment, Initiative 439.
It destroys protections for women and children.
439 outlaws parental notification for minors.
It makes women vulnerable to pressure and coercion.
And 439 would force taxpayer funding of abortions.
These extreme activists,
they're lying about Nebraska's laws.
And they're lying about women's health care in our state.
So here are the facts.
Initiative 434 protects women and children. 439 puts them at risk.
434 enables doctors to do their jobs.
439 puts women's care in the hands of non-physicians.
434 defends women from abuse, sex trafficking, and coercion.
439 leaves women vulnerable.
Get in the game. Get in the game. Get in the game.
Get in the game.
Vote for Initiative 434.
And no on 439.
That's 4-4 and no on 9.
No on 9.
No on 9.
That's 4-4 and no on 9.
4-4 and no on 9. I like that. That's easy to remember. Very good. And their girls are getting a lot of heat, of course, from the rabid pro-aborts. So check them out online and throw them some support.
Yeah, because those out-of-state activists can be darn right nasty. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:40 are the new Bolsheviks calling in the cavalry, talking about the migrant surge ahead of Tuesday's election. We'll start there with Elizabeth Pipko, Republican Party spokeshuman, also a model. Author.
We'll decide if she's a model.
Awesome author, activist, and proud American,
yes.
Elizabeth Pipko at 7:37.
Yeah, some of the migrants are already here if you check out El Paso's KVIA TV. But now let's head into that newsroom. Mike Scott is off. Nikki Whaley is in. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning. It's 41 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. An Arizona judge says thousands of voter names affected by a technical glitch must be released. The Thursday ruling affects around 98,000 residents. They were part of a database error with those with a driver's license issued before 1996 and did not have proof of citizenship on file. This comes after a conservative group challenged for those names to be released and verified by county recorders. Secretary of State Adrian Fontes says he believes most of the voters are U.S. citizens and pointed at safety and logistical concerns as he reasons for keeping the names under wraps. The Arizona Supreme Court previously ruled that those voters can still cast their ballots next week. The Illinois Commerce Commission is encouraging eligible natural gas customers to enroll in the state's new low-income discount rates. The rates offer a 5 to 83% monthly bill credit for qualifying customers based on a 5-tier system. Discount tiers are based on income, household size, and the cost of utility service offered in the area. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawk.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Blue Star Security, Papa Nicholas Coffee, and by the Alpha Wealth Group.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience, so I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I just lucky a year ago met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Hi, I'm Mark Rice, former Texan, energy entrepreneur, family man, and football coach. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. It's time for something different. We've all had enough of losing to the Democrats and the corrupt career politicians that are ruining our state and cities. I'll take action and bring some common sense to Congress. I'm not afraid to meet head-on the challenges we face daily, like the border situation, crime in our neighborhoods, inflation of everyday items like food, gas, and medical needs. We need to protect our freedoms, and I'm the person to get the job done. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Support my campaign in the 8th District, and let's take back our country, one House seat at a time. Vote for me, Mark Rice, for Congress. Go to rice4congress.com to get involved. I'm Mark Rice, and I approve this message. Paid for by Mark Rice for Congress Committee.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Accident westbound 390 after Mitchell. That is in the left lane, and northbound Route 53. The exit ramp to Higgins is closed, and that is all due to an accident. On the inbound Edens, 20 minutes, Lake Cook Road to Montrose, going in on the Kennedy, 30 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower 40, 390 into the post office. And then we have delays on the inbound Stevenson up to 45 from the Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Heavy southbound I-55 Gardner to 47. That's because it's down to one lane with construction. Inbound Ryan 30 minutes, 95th on in. We're seeing delays on the Tri-State North right near Thornton Quarry from an earlier accident as well. This traffic update is delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly sunny skies, high 53, clear tonight and a low 40, and then partly sunny. Very nice day tomorrow, the high 61. Showers late tomorrow night, low 49. Rain on Sunday, the high again at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. One of P. Diddy's ex-girlfriends was out at the rally for Kamala in Las Vegas. Jenny from the block had this to say.
He has consistently worked to divide us. At Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels. It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day, okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character. Look, I'm a lover. You guys know that about me. I'm a lover.
We know.
I am not a fighter. I am
Plowed
not
through
here to trash anyone or bring them down. I know what that can feel like, and I wouldn't do it to my worst enemy. Or even when facing the biggest adversary I think America has internally ever had. But over Kamala Harris's entire career, she has proven to us who she is. A proud daughter and son of Puerto Rico. I am Puerto Rican. Soy Boricua carajo. And yes, I was born here, and we are Americans.
Kamala Harris is Puerto Rican now, too? Here's my response to P. Diddy's ex-girlfriend.
I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. The people go out to vote, no fear, no more. Vote for Trump. Let's go. Vote for Trump. If you wanna keep America great, vote for Trump. Let's do it. I vote for Trump. Come on. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote. Oh yeah, for Donald
Somebody give me a Mai Tai.
Played the song on your flotilla, right?
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, it's fun. J-Lo.
J-Lo. People are, and guess what? People started booing because they thought she was going to sing, just like Beyonce. They didn't sing. They were up there.
Maybe they were booing because she wouldn't answer questions about the confrontation she had with P. Diddy the night he allegedly drugged and raped a 13-year-old. Yeah, sure.
Hence, he's the ex-boyfriend.
People coming forward that were dating alleged pedophiles. Interesting.
I'm sure how did they not know about the freak out parties he had?
Freak off.
Freak off.
Freak off parties,
But
right?
they're freaks. But yeah, freak off.
Elizabeth Pipko joins us now. She's a spokeswoman for the GOP, a model, author, activist, proud American. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we were just talking before the break about this surge at the border, and one wonders and expresses concern that maybe this is organic. Maybe this is the Democrat operatives calling in the reinforcements. What's the party's level of concern about again, people in this country illegally, maybe as recently as yesterday, voting in this election?
So look, what I will say is our party has always been concerned about this, right? Ever since we brought new leadership into the RNC, ever since I joined, our focus, has been on election integrity from day one, right? I get messages from people every single day, thousands of messages over the last few months, obviously, with people telling me they have fears about election integrity. They worry about the safety and security of our election. So for us, it has been a number one priority. We have countless lawsuits going on around the country, several that we have won. Obviously, we've had a lot of victories, especially in recent weeks, because we are fighting with every resource that we have to make sure that the American people can wake up on November 6th, right, regardless of the result of the election, with positive feelings about how safe and secure and free the election was, because that has to be our number one priority here. We cannot have a country in the United States of America in 2024 where the American people are curious or have concerns or worries or negative feelings about the safety of our election. We simply cannot have that. So that has been a number one priority for us, and it's where we've spent a lot of our resources, energy, and time. And I can say that we've invited those from the DNC several times, right, from the Democratic Party, to join us in these efforts, and obviously our calls have not been answered.
So there have been some positive movements in the last week in this direction that we're discussing. One is the Supreme Court intervening in Virginia and allowing Glenn Youngkin to remove identified non-citizens from the voter rolls. The other is a state Supreme Court decision in North Carolina that institutes voter ID for those voting between now and, 7 p.m. on Election Day. Are there pockets where there are concerns that things have not gone this direction, that there have been vulnerabilities that have been exposed? There are instances, other than that one-off at the University of Michigan, where people in this country legally or non-citizens are voting?
Well, I think there's concerns every single day, right? It's not just about non-citizens voting. It's about citizens in this country actually taking part in things that we think might be shady or sketchy or actually illegal. For those that missed what happened in Bucks County, for example, in Pennsylvania, we saw people that were actually instructing those that were standing in line to get out of line and go home, right, to not stand in line to wait to vote. We did file a lawsuit, and voting actually was extended, right? There was a judge who actually agreed and extended the ballot deadline in Pennsylvania. I believe it's, they don't have early voting, but it's the mail ballot deadline where you can actually stand in line early to request that ballot and drop it off. So after seeing the video proof, because your average everyday Americans who were concerned actually found their phones in time to record what was going on, post it on the internet, and bring attention to it, we were able to see that. We were able to file a lawsuit very quickly and able to get that early voting timing extended by 3 days. So that is a great example of how everyday Americans can get involved. When you see something that you think looks strange, you should report it to us. You should take videos and post them on social media, and you should make sure that your fellow Americans see that, because I think left or right, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you would still be concerned by that.
Well, yes. We talked about the Bucks County thing and other instances, Dominion machines in Michigan and so forth. But I mean, specific to that issue, do we know of any instances other than that one Chinese national undergrad at University of Michigan of illegals voting? Has there been any pockets of problems that have presented themselves?
Right now, no. We did have that instance. I believe it was also in Pennsylvania with, I think it was 2,400 fraudulent
voter registration
ballots that are still being investigated. But no, so far, no. And I can assure you with how excited the American people are, but also nervous and on top of their game. They really are. Going into this election, we would hear about it if anyone had those kinds of concerns right now.
Here in Cook County, you can only early vote via computer, which I'm a ballot girl myself. Do you believe that those systems are safe?
We certainly hope so, right? Look, we've put in every resource that we have to make sure that's safe. At the same time, I know that there is a desire for paper ballots, right, in our country. People, no matter what state, no matter what district they're in, have reached out to us and, it's told us that that's what they want. That's how they feel safe. You just said it yourself. You don't feel very safe with a computer system like that. I think it's interesting that we've reached the point where no matter how concerned people are with a lot of these systems, they are still in place, meaning more people have to get involved, vote in their local elections, try to run themselves, by the way, very important. People don't realize they can get involved themselves and run in those local elections and actually get involved in changing these systems, because sitting home and complaining has only brought us to this point. I think people have to realize that a good chunk of the country actually believes in voter ID laws, and yet we don't have them in every single state, right? So when you believe in something, if you think that something is shady, if you're unhappy with the system in the United States of America, you have to get involved, especially locally, and try to fight against it, because the only way we're going to make any kind of change is if more and more Americans that want to see that change get involved and work on it themselves.
Well, and the other thing that's helpful is these partner organizations, effectively, even if informally, who are in the same business. For example, American First Legal Foundation announced yesterday they won their lawsuit against the Arizona Secretary of State's office for illegally withholding a list of 218,000 registered voters who did not provide proof of citizenship. The Secretary of State in Arizona must produce the complete list of those voters by Monday, so now they can be checked and tracked. And this is the sort of thing that maybe wasn't happening to the extent it needed to 4 years ago in terms of proactivity and getting things challenged and resolved before Election Day.
Yeah, look, 100%. I don't think enough people actually realized until this point how much they could actually do. We said it for months that we wanted to train, for example, hundreds of thousands of poll watchers and poll workers, right? And people laughed at us, and now we have over 200,000 volunteers trained for doing that exact process. I think people don't realize how much they can do, how well they actually can get involved, how equipped they are to help with these systems and make sure that they and their fellow Americans obviously feel safe with what's going on. And I'm so grateful for the amount of people that have stepped up as volunteers, working for different organizations. Like you said, for our own organization, it has been incredible to see the American people come together to try and solve this issue that I think really, again, should impact all of us.
The CNN is trying to peg their hopes and dreams on some gender disparities in early voting in swing states. Women representing 52% of the early votes in Arizona, 50% in Nevada, 56 in Pennsylvania, 56 in Georgia, 55 in North Carolina, 55 in Michigan, 55 in Wisconsin. Is that a concern for you and the GOP, or is it, based on the aggregate numbers, it seems like, well, there's a lot of Republican women, a lot of Trump supporters that are coming out that are embedded in those numbers, and so maybe the gender disparity is a bit misleading.
Right. No, there certainly are a lot of Trump supporting women obviously coming out, despite the fact that Mark Cuban yesterday called us all weak and stupid.
Yes,
there are many of us obviously coming out. Look, we're very aware, right, of how groups have shifted in this country. Obviously, Kamala Harris does have a lead with female voters, Donald Trump with male voters, but we've also seen different shifts from other groups, right? We are making strides with Black Americans, for example, Hispanic Americans, Jewish Americans. I think the dynamics in this country are changing quite a bit apart from just the disparity between male and female voters. I don't know if enough people even know how to track them because they've never seen numbers like this for a Republican candidate, right? Donald Trump has made quite the dent that many of them did not expect when it comes to different minority groups. So I think we're going to see and understand a lot more after November 5th, but we're certainly tracking every single group in the country and what that means for us, especially in these swing states where we have to compete in those early voting numbers in order to win on November 5th, which is what we want to do.
And is there, this story that the D.C. press corps has decided to push in the last 48 hours that there's some sort of surge happening for Kamala that really isn't reflected in any numbers I've seen, but you probably see more than I do. What do you say to this alleged surge for Kamala?
All I'll say is that it has been incredibly tight for weeks now. We've always known it was going to be a tight election. We're not going to stop working, obviously, until there is no work left to be done. Midnight, November 5th, obviously, is our deadline to get this done. I think for everyone paying attention, you should make sure that you are voting. If you have not early voted yet, to go do that, to make sure that your neighbor, your friend, your dog walker, your teacher, everyone you know is out there to the polls, because obviously there are chances of a surge on both sides. There are chances of a lot of things no one expects, and we're not going to be able to win unless every single person out there casts their vote and is ready to help us with that win on the 5th. So we're not worried about any surge, but we're obviously focused until the very last second on making sure every single voter gets out to those polls.
Elizabeth Pipko, GOP spokeswoman, model, author, activist, proud American. Elizabeth, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father, but while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com, and listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm sorry to report, Amy, that Crumbs has passed away. Crumbs, the world's fattest cat, has passed away after being sent to a feline fat camp.
Oh, come on. They really sent him to a fat camp?
He was rescued from the basement of a Russian hospital where he was raised on a diet of scraps, biscuits, and soup. His actual name in Russian is Kroshik, which is English for J.B. Pritzker.
Oh, stop.
38 pounds.
That's a big. Do you have a picture? I love kitty pictures.
Yeah, here he is.
Here, kitty. Oh, ooh. Oh,
See
he's
that?
a Maine Coon. Wow, look at that thing's fat.
What'd you call me?
No, I said it's a Maine Coon, an orange tabby.
He did go to this weight loss center in Perm, Russia, which I hear is very good.
Uh-huh.
He lost 7 pounds before suddenly developing breathing problems and passing away on Saturday.
Let him be a fat cat, man. Would they give him Ozempic?
What happened was the fat cat's layers of flab were so deep that scans ultimately failed to show he had cancerous tumors developed on his spleen and other organs. I mean, look at this.
I know.
Fat.
I just want to squeeze him. I should tweet out. We did have the fattest, longest cat in Chicago. It was also a Maine Coon. Cat lived on Fremont. He made it into the Guinness Book of World Record. We did a story, and then he died a year later from the. I don't know if it was tumors, not on the spleen, but somewhere else.
Maybe they should send Crumbs' remains to Springfield, Ohio. But
why are you doing this?
In Springfield,
because I don't know if you've heard.
They're eating the cats.
Sing the song all day now, Dan.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I love this song. I mean, it's great.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. People of Springfield, please don't
eat crumbs.
my cats. Why would you do that?
Eat something else.
I want to see the picture.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog.
Oh my God, I want that
Here's
cat.
a catalog of other things to eat. They're eating the dogs. Whoa, 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 whoa. They're eating the cats. Meow, 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 meow. They're eating the pets.
Coming
Rest
up,
in peace, Crumb.
Yeah, the J.B. Pritzker of cats. Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to our friend Jim Perry about all matters economic. 8:08.
Now, 8 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
A big hiring slowdown. I'm Dave Anthony. In the last big economic report before the presidential election, the October jobs report just out came in way below expectations.
12,000 jobs added.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni.
We haven't seen this number since December of 2020.
The government's also revised August and September hiring down. 112,000 fewer jobs created in those months than first reported. The unemployment rate last month remained the same, though, 4.1%. The economy remains the biggest issue for many voters, especially inflation.
I will enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries.
Vice President Harris in Las Vegas.
If Kamala is reelected, New Mexico's economy will be reduced to rubble. You're not going to be drilling oil. There's no more drilling. There's no more oil. You can forget it.
Former President Trump in Albuquerque. He also went to Nevada, and both also campaigned in Arizona. Today, there will be dueling Trump-Harris rallies in Wisconsin, and the former president will also go to Michigan, another toss-up state, and he may again bring up President Biden, calling Trump supporters garbage. The White House insists, though, the president didn't, editing the transcript of what he said, putting an apostrophe after the R in supporters in the transcript to make it look singular, like he was only referring to one now infamous supporter. That angered the White House stenography office, which did not improve that change.
The White House is not explaining what exactly happened here, just to say the president confirmed in his tweet on Tuesday evening that he was addressing the hateful rhetoric from the comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. That was reflected in the transcript.
Fox's Peter Ducey, that comedian, caused the stir, calling Puerto Rico garbage. A shooting after midnight in downtown Orlando, Florida, left 2 people dead during a Halloween celebration.
Those victims are currently in stable condition. Shortly after the reported shots fired, a shooting suspect was located and taken into custody.
Police Chief Eric Smith talking about the 6 people wounded. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 41 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The Attorney General of Pennsylvania is responding to allegations of voter fraud in 2 counties. In a statement Thursday, Michelle Henry said attempts to submit fraudulent voter application forms in York and Lancaster counties were uncovered and defeated. She noted that the fraudulent materials did not include any ballots. Prosecutors continue to paint a picture of how much power Michael Madigan had during his time as Illinois House Speaker. During testimony yesterday in Madigan's racketeering trial, jurors heard a wiretap phone call of Michael McLean attempting to gather money behind the scenes for a longtime Madigan aide who was ousted in 2018 following sexual harassment allegations. The call was presented as evidence of the lengths that Madigan's trusted lieutenants would go to protect the former speaker and those close to him. Madigan and McLean faced charges accusing them of conspiring to participate in an array of bribery and extortion schemes. Illinois is offering a new service to report hate acts in the state. Governor Pritzker announced the official launch of Help Stop Hate.
This service will allow people to report hate online or with a call to a specialized, trained person.
The free confidential service provides support to assist victims and witnesses of hate acts in reporting what happened and connecting them with their communities with vital resources. Help Stop Hate isn't affiliated with law enforcement. Hate crimes reached an all-time high in 2023 with nearly 12,000 incidents reported to the FBI. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are suggesting some recovery today after Thursday's sell-off. Wall Street will be reacting today to the October employment report and more earnings. Both ExxonMobil and Chevron shares are higher. The energy giants reported stronger than expected earnings. Together, they've returned more than $155 billion to investors in dividends and buybacks of their own shares. Both companies are holding up better than expected. Earnings were down from a year ago, and there are signs that a glut of oil will keep prices low for months. Oil prices have fallen about 15% over the past 6 months. Apple's iPhone sales rose to a record in the recent quarter after a modest rebound in sales. However, the stock is lower because Apple's cautious about the holiday quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Mike Gallagher says there's one way to guarantee victory.
We must vote early, bank the votes today, bank the votes tomorrow, bank the votes on election day. We cannot rely on one day of voting. We have to overwhelm the fraud from start to finish. Too big to rig. You got to be voting right now.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Few understand the impact this election may have on their retirement savings. Our entire economy could face a monumental shift that could destroy a huge amount of value many Americans have stored in their 401ks or IRAs. In times like these, the most trusted store of wealth in human history stands out: physical gold and silver. Many Americans have looked to True Gold Republic for help. They specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other retirement accounts convert their stocks and bonds into physical gold and silver ever to protect their hard-earned savings. True Gold is offering listeners a free copy of their Election Gold Protection Kit today. To claim yours, call 800-300-GOLD. This information is free and might very well save your comfortable retirement. By acting before the election, you can still make a tax and penalty-free conversion with the help of True Gold's award-winning team. Call 800-300-GOLD. That's 800-300-GOLD. True Gold Republic is not a financial advisor. Consult with your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-300-4653.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Have you heard about this guy, Donald Rainwater?
I sure have. Guy was a deadbeat dad. Total loser. Not only did Rainwater repeatedly fail to pay his child support, he filed for bankruptcy and had his car repossessed. But what did a court find he spent the money on? Cigarettes.
Hasn't he run for office twice before and lost each time?
Sure has. Maybe that's why he wants the job, so taxpayers pay off all his debts.
But there's someone even worse than Rainwater. This Jennifer McCormick character is a really out there liberal.
Yeah, she's a pro-Biden and pro-Kamala liberal. She opposed school choice, she supports boys in the girls' locker room, and did you hear what she said about Hillary Clinton?
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
She had some great, world foreign experience. So I did vote for Hillary Clinton.
Jennifer McCormick, she's hopelessly liberal.
I'm not voting for Rainwater or McCormick. They're both losers in my book.
Paid for by Indiana Republican State Committee, Inc.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak, taking a look at the road, starting with the Edens inbound side. It is 16 minutes from Lake Cook Road to Montrose, so not bad at all. The Kennedy just under an hour. O'Hare into the Jane Byrne interchange. If you're heading inbound on the Eisenhower, 50 minutes as well, 390 into the post office. Stevenson, a 50-minute trip from the Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Also seeing delays on the inbound side of the Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th on in. Those express lanes tightening up 51st to the Stevenson. Southbound I-55, that slows right around Gardner to 47 because it's down to one lane with construction. Inbound 57 tight, 99th into the Rhine, while the Ford slows 103rd into the Rhine as well. Tri-State busy either way. Eastbound Reagan, an accident at Yackley, 2 left lanes. Our block starts backing up at Washington. And crews still on the scene northbound 53, exit ramp closed to Higgins, and that is all due to a crash. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, mostly sunny skies, high 53, clear tonight and a low 40, and then partly sunny, very nice day tomorrow, the high 61. Showers late tomorrow night, low 49. Rain on Sunday, the high again at 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The October jobs number is out, 12,000. Pretty anemic, especially when analysts expected 113,000. But, you can't take these jobs reports with much more than a grain of salt because they're always revised, because it's driven by government, because the whole thing seems to be rather rigged by the Fed. Anyway, 12,000 jobs created in non-farm payrolls jobs in October. That's not too impressive. How concerned should we be? We start there with James Perry, founder, CIO of Perry International Capital Partners. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you.
So, 12,000 non-farm payroll jobs.
12,000 new jobs in a country that's got 360,000 or 60 million people is not a good number.
No.
And the numbers, right? I mean, the numbers have been coming down and have been below trend really for the last couple of years. I think you have to put the jobs number in context, right? The jobs number, as you said, they're a little bit murky, and there's lots of different surveys that do the wrong things and don't collect the right data. But the point is that the U.S. economy is in a very, very fragile state, and most voters recognize that. I was in Europe, as you know, last month, and the biggest issue that came up was, who's Trump? What's going on with Trump? Who is this guy? We're fearful of a reprisal from Putin in Europe, and we're preparing for nuclear war over here. And I was like, whoa, you guys, slow down, So the fact is that they don't like Trump very much, maybe a little bit more in places like Zurich than Geneva, but they don't like him very much. And the reason is that they are afraid that the state will be dismantled, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. Everything that we get in terms of data and market is very simple. It all starts out with government debt, Dan. And total debt in the U.S. economy, it's $36 trillion with a GDP that's, sort of 28 or something, right? This is debt-fueled growth, which is absolutely unsustainable. And voters know that. The average household and the average small business is just getting hammered with higher prices that are sustained at these levels, which are 40%, 50% higher than they were 4 years ago.
Well, yeah, but what are the Europeans talking about? They don't know that. The reason their economies are sclerotic is because they've pursued high tax and high spend policies, and they continue to. I mean, they're even more government centric than we are. So what are they chiding us about?
Absolutely. I mean, the fact is France and Germany have so much public spending that they cannot grow. They can't even fire people. And businesses are closing. I was in Brussels, and the guy was one of my investor guys over there, he's big shot, said that Audi is closing an automobile manufacturing plant in Belgium. And I said, well, why? What's that all about? And he says, well, it's about EVs in China. I said, well, why don't you just throw some tariffs on them and tell them to knock it off? And they say, well, France and Germany export a lot to China, so we can't do it. So Europe is stuck between China and the U.S., and I don't want to sound too critical, but they've really done this to themselves by just increasing all of this government spending, and they've crushed the free market economies, and there's no going back for them.
Well, and also these completely asinine anti-energy mandates. I mean, the story out this week from Germany is Volkswagen hitting the net zero wall. They're looking at potentially closing 3 vehicle factories and cutting 10,000 jobs. They haven't closed a factory in Germany in the company's 87-year history. So, hello.
Yeah, I mean, this is. You would think that people in this country would look at Europe and recognize that for the last 30 years they've destroyed themselves, and maybe we should go a different direction. You cannot have a government that mandates what people are going to buy and sell. This is like the USSR, right? We're going to put our gas station here because my friend owns the property, but nobody drives here, so nobody buys the gas, right? It's the same thing. Nobody really wants an EV in this country. They're too expensive. They don't want the charging, and the recycling is expensive, and they're not even very green. So why is the government pushing an agenda on a free market capitalist system? Because it always fails.
Well, and we should look across the pond at merry old England, too, because as the Wall Street Journal opined yesterday, the bond vigilantes returned to London. the high tax, high spend budget from Britain's newly installed Labour Party and Sturmer. The response from the market on that, 10-year government bond rose as high as 4.57% compared to about 4.32% a couple of days earlier, its highest level in a year. Right. Short yields also rose, and the sterling fell in value. So, I mean, they're doing this. They're continuing to do the same things the Biden-Harris administration did, which is to destroy the value of their currency.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And everybody on Wall Street and banking is looking at the UK, going, they're kind of hitting a wall here. And if we keep doing this, we're going to hit a wall too. I mean, what happened in England, even 18 months ago, they came out with a new budget when Tess was there. What was her name? She was the prime minister for about a month.
Yeah.
But they keep spending, and it's unfunded deficit spending. And the bond market just said, I'm sorry, you're not going to pay us back. We're not going to buy this debt. And they're doing it again. And they've hit a wall. And if the government here can understand that there are limits to how much debt you can actually incur and how much deficit spending you can actually throw at an economy that's basically floundering, there are consequences. And if we don't change direction here, this economy is going to collapse.
Well, just on the energy piece of it, too, if we could stick there for a second, a big energy. Coal consumption, this is according to the IEA, International Energy Administration. Coal consumption in 2030 now estimated to be 6% higher than a year ago. It amounts to adding the equivalent of the consumption of Japan, the world's fourth largest coal burner. By 2030, the IEA now believes coal consumption will remain higher than it was back in 2010. 2/3 of the total increase in energy demand in 2023 was met by fossil fuels. Again, the IEA, this and Bloomberg reporting this. So, as the West is kneecapping itself, China and the BRICS and the developing world are going where energy is the most abundant and the cheapest.
Yeah, it's called the market. It's like you buy the cheapest stuff you can to produce the most expensive stuff that you can sell so that you have profit margins in your economy for your businesses and your households, right? And somehow that message has been lost in Washington, for sure.
Now, this going back to the October job numbers, is President Trump or former President Trump, do you think he's going to be using this to his advantage on the campaign trail or ignore it?
I think he's largely going to ignore it. I mean, I've been watching this as close as anybody, and the fact is that Trump really isn't talking about deficits or deficit spending at all because he knows he's kind of handcuffed when it comes to the mandatory entitlements that are already in the system. So I don't think he's really going to talk about it, except he'll say something like, oh, boy, the economy's slowing down, failed policies of Joe Biden. It'll be a talking point, right? So I think he's got a point, and he doesn't have to say much because everybody feels it. But, if he's smart, and I think he is, I think that if he keeps hammering the economic story, I think he wins the election. One of the guys in Europe asked me a question. He said, who's going to win? Everybody wants to know who's going to win. I said, if this is about economics, Trump wins because, that middle portion of the economic spectrum, that sort of average household and small business, these voters recognize that inflation and crime are the two things that can put them out of business. And they can be addressed very easily. Quit spending and, think about the rule of law a little bit every once in a while, right? So I think and that's economics. If economics is the story, Trump wins. If it's something other than that, because people don't care and they want the government to be bigger, then Harris will win. And I'm not sure which way it's going to go. The polls, I think, are leaning toward Trump, but, you never know. These guys aren't really – these pollsters don't pick up the numbers as well as – there's bad at picking up numbers as the government is, right? Because people don't answer questions.
Yeah, it varies across pollsters. But let's talk back about energy, and let's talk a little bit investment since this is your wheelhouse. What do you think about nuclear as a investment play, particularly the small scale modular nuclear power centers that are being developed with the the incredible and increasing demand for energy from all these data centers for big tech companies as they're developing their AI products and so forth, against the backdrop of some of these backward-ass anti-growth energy policies coming out of states like California, New Jersey, New York, Illinois?
Nuclear power is coming. I mean, I was talking about the AI revolution. I do all the time, every day. And the fact is, think about where we were 20 years ago and 30 years ago with nuclear power, and then all of a sudden recognize that, Microsoft buys 3 Mile Island, right? And the government approves it immediately, right? For $1.5 trillion, right? So the tide has turned for sure. The small nuclear modular units that are coming to market, they're going to work. The trouble is that they can't be rolled out tomorrow. It's going to take some time. They're expensive. They are modular. But, I was reading this the other day. There's 88 different kind of patents out for these things, and we're not sure which one's going to work yet, right? So there's a lot of money going into all of them. It's kind of like the first laptop and mobile phone. You don't really know who the winner is going to be, so it's hard to invest in it. And the fact is, there's no income streams yet, and there probably won't be for 2 years, maybe.
What about like an ETF of these new companies?
There is an ETF in the nuclear power area. I don't have the ticker in front of it because I haven't bought it. I'm watching some of these things. Nano Nuclear Energy is a little stock that was about $9 a share 3 months ago. It went to 40, right?
Wow.
And now it's at 20. So it's still up almost, about 2.5%. But they have no earnings, so it's kind of speculative, to be honest with you. I like the idea of buying the sector. I think that's probably a good way to play it if you're an investor.
That's what I did. I guess I should disclose that. That's exactly what I did, which is why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming, and I think people should own a portion of their portfolio in this sustainable and cheap and green power source because it's going to be a bigger portion of the whole pie, in 5 years by a lot.
Well, and you saw a story in the Journal this week about AI finally starting to produce some ROI for developers, right?
Right. Yeah. The AI theme and the AI industrial revolution sort of concept that we hear about every day, I'm a big proponent of it, and I think it's real. And I think that, in the stock market, these big hyperscalers are going to continue to take market share from other people. And I think that the incorporation of AI is going a lot faster than we think. And the growth numbers in terms of profits and profit margins are really the best sectors in the economy that you can buy. So I think one of the ways, if you're an index guy, the top 100 NASDAQ stocks, less financials, is an Invesco product called the QQQs, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to worry about overpaying for NVIDIA or worrying about Google in an antitrust suit or how many iPhones Apple is going to sell, the top 100 companies, and it's basically 70 of them are tech companies or 60. But again, we don't know who the winner is going to be, but there's a lot of companies out there that are really starting to make a lot of money. Dell's doing well, Oracle's doing well. These aren't Mag 7 companies, but they're making a lot of money. So I think the AI revolution is a requirement for every portfolio because the spending that's going on in that space, Dan, is just unbelievable. Slight tangent here. I'll just give you a quick story. Microsoft has a report out that said in 2023, the technology company spent $1.5 trillion on CapEx toward AI, right? And that's after tax, right? $1.5 trillion. That's 5% of GDP, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also said in 5 years, that number is going to be 25% of GDP.
Wow.
So these guys are not afraid to spend, and they've got the government behind them. They are getting subsidies to do this stuff, right? So, again, what's it all worth right now? I don't know. Is Apple supposed to be $220 a share or $330 or $130? It's hard to say. But in 10 years, some of these big cap Mag 7 type stocks are going to continue to grab market share from the rest of the economy, because AI is really not about revenues for the accounting firm and the audit firm and the legal firm and the education department and coders. It's really about all of these companies, small and large, using AI to cut costs so their profit margins are going up. And they are buying into the AI platforms that the megascalers have. So your profits are going to gravitate toward the big guys rather than the small guys, but the small guys' profit margins are going to go up because their costs are going to go down. So I think that's a pretty good macro overlay for the AI industrial revolution, and I think it's going to work.
The election, I mean, the betting markets have Trump just about a 2-1 favorite, last I checked. What happens if Kamala wins? What would the market reaction be?
The stock market will go down because interest rates will go up. Everything is driven by interest rates, right? You got a 10-year note right now trading at 4.26. It was 4.35 or so the other day. It's really about the bond vigilantes coming out and saying, hold on a second. The government brought in $5 trillion last year and spent $7 billion. That's why we have a deficit of $2 billion. And they want to bring spending up higher to $8 billion. And there's not going to have enough revenue to cover the shortfall. And the fact is that the bond market has to finance that deficit, right? So if Kamala Harris wins, you can expect the same policies under Biden to be extended and also expanded, right? So interest rates go up, and that means that the value of underlying assets that those rate structures support go down. So I'm very bearish on the stock market if Trump does not win.
James Perry, founder, CIO, Perry International Capital Partners. Jim, thank you as always.
Dan, thank you. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Family, country, community. Ed Soliday has spent his life in service to others. A graduate of Valparaiso High School, Ed Soliday went on to attend Indiana University and served our country in the Army, where he earned the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. After his military service, Ed Soliday built a successful career as a pilot and flight safety expert, leading crisis management at United Airlines on 9/11. Now, Ed Soliday is serving us at the Indiana State House, where he puts people ahead of partisanship. Representative Ed Soliday is a respected voice working to protect taxpayers, secure our energy grid, and attract better-paying jobs to the region. Ed is endorsed by the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, the Indiana State Police Alliance, and the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Representative Ed Soliday. Common sense leadership for Northwest Indiana. Vote Ed Soliday for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 5th.
Paid for by friends of Ed Soliday Committee.
AM 560. The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, that's time of the week. Open Mic Friday. Take your calls. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line with comments, criticisms, compliments, concerns, general crack pottery. We'll take it all. And we start, as we do, with Turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak. David?
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I think we're just at the point here where we all just want to fast forward to the results whenever they are and just find out what they are from this election here. But the choice is clearly upon us, and I don't think it's close, as I've said, but I think we'll still see a lot of chaos afterwards. All right, so you've got this really awkward couple who looks more like an SNL skit than an actual presidential ticket. The guy's chubby. He speaks poorly. He does leg kicks, for Christ's sake, but he's not a man's man. And you've got Kamala, who's just Kamala, and brings nothing to the table. Nobody has any credibility, a strong track record, or vision. They look awkward and in a meaningful way. It makes me cringe, worse than when I saw the Dukakis tank videos when I was a kid. Remember those? That was the moment his campaign was over. It's crazy, and I can't even see how anyone would see the Harris-Walz ticket to be an appealing offer. It's the most anti-presidential ticket of all time. It's absurd. They're running on a gaslighting campaign. What you've just lived through is not real. The things that you've seen We're going to be different. Trust us. So on the other side, though, you've got a Saturday morning cartoon bonanza like the Hall of Justice. Do you remember that show? It was the assembled cast of the likes of, Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern, those kinds. So if you don't like Trump, you get Elon. If you don't like him, you get RFK Jr. If you don't like him, you get Vivek or Gabbard or Tucker, or a whole lot more of big brain thinkers who are engaged, and they'll probably do it for free. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. All you hear about this talk is it's a coin flip. It's so close. How could it be with these two tickets being so far apart? It's like we're watching the worst movie that you've ever seen, and it's lasted too long, and you have to go to the bathroom, but the best part's right around the corner. So you can't look away, and you can't get out of your seat. The funny thing is that this election can go in so many ways. First, and most likely, Trump's ahead by a landslide, and there's no way to overcome the margin and he wins. Second, they have some overseas absentee ballot measures and some migrant shenanigans that flood the polls, and Kamala wins. Or something else comes along and there's no election, or they won't let him take office like Jamie Raskin predicts. Highly unlikely, but possible given the stakes, players, and where the whole world is watching. I think in a free and fair election, Trump wins the popular vote for sure, and the vast majority of the states. But I think we all know that there's little confidence in free and fair elections. Actually, I think it's fair to say that most people have no confidence in elections. Furthermore, as Rush Limbaugh used to say, the polls prior to any election are meant to steer public opinion rather than reflect it. Or a close election justifies the people accepting the results as they're stated. Last week has been filled with all kinds of mean words directed at anyone who disagrees with the current path we're on. They've painted us as Nazis and garbage. And if your opponent thinks you're a Nazi or a piece of garbage, then why wouldn't he cheat? If you think your political opponent is literally Hitler, then why wouldn't you be justified to steal an election? You have to keep him out of office, right, for the greater good. I think what we all want is the truth and accountability. I saw some statistic the other day that said 82% of Americans want voter ID. That could be a little high as a number, but we have to present ID for so many trivial things. It makes you wonder how anyone could be opposed to voter ID. But I get it. Everyone's saying go out and vote early, but I'm going to go on election days like I always do and cast my vote. It's not difficult to do, so do that if you can. And as an IT guy and a technologist, there's some things that you can do to inspect the voting infrastructure yourself. First of all, when you get to the polling place, turn on your Wi-Fi in the parking lot and notice the number of networks available. Maybe take a screenshot of that. And then go into the voting place and where the machines are and turn your Wi-Fi on and look at the number of available networks there. Take another screenshot. Most people see additional access points inside the polling place that the machines connect to. Don't use a Sharpie, use a ballpoint pen. A Sharpie could bleed through and make your ballot reviewable, so that they can change your intent and vote for who they think you wanted to vote for. And lastly, when you're scanning your ballot into the machine, take a look at the side of the machine on that and see if there are any wireless USB devices with blinking lights hanging off them. I've seen all of those things myself, and now you guys will too. And one more thing, I'm going to be at the Freedom Summit tomorrow night.
Oh, good.
So if you don't have your tickets, get them. And if you're around and would like to say hello, I'd be happy to hang with you. So,
thank you, David. Appreciate it.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Speaking of
bring Melissa. Please.
Speaking of Hall of Justice,
we will.
The cast for the Avengers: Scarlett Johansson, Paul Bettany, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans. It really doesn't matter who says what because they're sharing a brain. They put this together. Don Cheadle. They put this little group call together for Kamala. More star power.
Oh, God.
Like
we need another Hollywood elitist telling us how to vote.
It's it's more than just Jenny on the block in Las Vegas.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Avengers.
Hi.
Thanks
Hey,
for
Scarlett.
jumping on the call.
Whoa. I think you mean assembling. I said assembling. Don, that's pretty good. No, they thought it was funny.
Scarlett, it is our pleasure to come together and to get the vote out this election. Come on.
Yeah, how can we be of service?
Well, how about we start with what our voting plans are going to be, who we're going to bring to the polls with us, that sort of thing.
I think Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Ooh, yes, definitely a catchphrase.
How about this? I'm just off the top of my head. I can do this all day. Shut up. I hate it. Okay.
I mean, it's original, but...
What about something punchier like, ooh, boom. You looking for this? Iron Man 2, everybody loved it.
Okay, again, I think we're just trying to get out the vote.
Kamala forever.
That's better.
Okay, how about I'm down with democracy? It's just clean, it's simple.
Okay, I like that.
It's hard to argue with that.
Kamala Harris, down with democracy.
Oh, yeah. I'm Kamala Harris, and I say down with democracy.
I don't know if that sounds the way we want it to sound, though.
I think we just need, can we get some production, though?
Jarvis? My name's not Jarvis, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Down with democracy.
Down with democracy.
Is that what we mean, though?
Yeah, together we're gonna tear down democracy.
Will you stop playing heroic music under yourselves?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I am down with democracy. Did I sound enough like her on that one?
That was great. How many Golden Globes have you been nominated for? I'm just curious.
Yes! All right, that was awesome.
Aren't they fun?
Oh, I love the Hollywood elites. Nothing better to do with their time. Okay.
Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I just want to remind everybody out there that, yesterday was Halloween. Today's the perfect day. Last night was probably best, but today's the perfect day. It's a learning opportunity to teach your kids how taxes work. What I do is I get the candy, I spread it out on the table, and I say, okay, this is a third or whatever. This is what the government takes. And I specifically try to identify Reese's, Kit Kats, full candy bars. And that's how the taxes work. So it's a great way to show them that this is what the government's going to take away.
You should do a Zoom call for all of the city of Chicago.
I think that, it's an excellent opportunity to do that. So anyhow, I encourage everybody to get out to vote. I was Waldo. I was walking my daughter around for Halloween. And
you dressed up.
It was a lot of fun. I just told people this is where I am. But I'm talking to the dads out there. I'm also a precinct chair, so I have the app that shows if you voted or not. It was great to see the excitement of the Republicans, because I knew the Republicans, and just the dour mood of the Democrats as far as out there. So I think the joy is on the side of the GOP to get out and win this thing. But remember, stay and vote, stay in line. I would love it if Trump won the popular vote, so your vote does count in Illinois. So that's all.
All right, thanks for the call, Kevin. Really?
You'd be smirching him that he dressed up for Halloween. He was out with his daughter. It was father-daughter.
I don't like adults dressing up for Halloween.
I know you don't. What did you used to say? Halloween was the time for women to be slutty, or because they'd wear their slut costumes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Sexy nurse, sexy whatever, sexy zombie. I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Can't unsee that. Real quickly though, before we get to other callers, since you played a campaign ad, there's a male version of what you do in the booth stays in the booth. Two dudes, but they're wearing their
up on the two chicks
rural outfit. They're clearly hunters, gatherers.
Come on, boys. Let's make America great again. It's your turn, buddy.
Before you cast your vote in this election, think about how it'll impact the people you care about the most.
Daddy! The women in your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty?
You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls.
And that's George Clooney, of course. And then I remembered, my God, it's his op-ed that brought Biden down. That started the ball rolling.
So in that one, like the one we talked about yesterday with the two women that was voiced by Julia Roberts, the two guys are standing across from each other and they're voting and they sort of lock eyes and give a knowing nod. And then in this one, after they vote, they make out and they go get their penises cut off. So I thought that was a bit of a surprise ending.
Yeah, and Harry becomes Harrietta. Yeah. That was a surprise ending, yeah.
Dawn in Naperville.
No more onions for them.
When you can't lead America if you don't love Americans, when President Trump said that the other day, and he said after that, it's true. So my question to him is, how do we know it's true? And I would say because your typical American believes that the federal government or those who sit in authority have a responsibility to lift burden. And with all due respect to those Hollywood elites, that's what this is about. It's about the burdens that are being put on the American's wallet, the burden that's being put on them with crime and the border, and the burden that's being placed on them with these threat of wars. They want peace. And you want to know what? The perfect example of that is that mom that spoke the other day, Swanee, the disabled mom who spoke, and she said she was a disabled mom. She had two disabled children. She's complaining about the crime. She's complaining about money that's being spent on on illegals when she wants to know why it's not helping their community. And it just broke my heart. And you know what? I got a question. This is exactly what, Jesus had warned us about this. He told us in Matthew 23, he said, those who sit in authority, you're tying up heavy loads and you're not willing to lift one finger. You're neglecting justice, you're neglecting mercy, and you're neglecting faithfulness. So to me, regardless of the person, this is about the policies that you're making on a federal level that have impact on a local level, and it's devastating. And we need to take this burden and transfer it back on the federal government where it belongs and not on a local level. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Dawn. The woman she was referring to spoke out at the Chicago City Council meeting, had a question for Brandon Johnson, spending all that taxpayer dollars on migrants and not on people in need. She talked about her neighborhood being overrun by the drug addicted and the violent and so forth. Jeff in Langhorne, Pennsylvania.
Hey, good morning. I'm calling on behalf of my wife. She wanted to call in for the first time, but she's working today. She, lifelong Democrat, switched to the Republican Party last year.
Nice.
Went to early vote.
Force her to do that?
Oh, well, I think it was 10 years with me. She finally turned around. But she went to go drop off her ballot in Bucks County yesterday and ran into Scott Pressler and talked to him for a little bit. And he said he turned Bucks County red again, and he got the early voting extended by a few days. But I just wanted to say I was there about 20 minutes before they closed the polls the day prior, which prompted the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And there were only like 150, maybe 200 people standing outside the line. So to me, it seemed kind of ridiculous that they had shut it off that early. But hopefully things go well in the state. And I guess it all just depends on the turnout.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Appreciate it. The patience of Job, Jeff has 10 years before his wife finally turned. Good grief.
I don't know how couples stay together that are in different political parties. I mean, people do it, but
Tom, Blue Island.
Rough.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Happy Friday. Hopefully the last Friday of the, well, it wouldn't be the last Friday of the administration, but of what we've been through the last 3 years. I firmly believe the election in 2020 was stolen. It wasn't just rigged, it was stolen. That being said, I believe that fell on Trump and his team because leading up to that election, it looked like they were going to coast, and then the China virus hit and everything that ensued after that. But that being said, I don't believe they took election security seriously enough. And Dan, I'd specifically like to thank you and the voices that you folks have had on that have heartened me that the Republican Party has taken what happened in 2020 seriously. And my default position in life is to generally be optimistic despite what happens to you. And as such, I'm pretty confident we're going to see the result we want to see on Tuesday. So I just wanted to give you guys some kudos on that.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. David and Racine.
Greetings, Amy and Dan.
What about salutations?
Yeah.
What happened to salutations?
Greetings and salutations.
Thank you. Now proceed, please.
Okay. Now I have a question. Is there a statute of limitations on contempt of Congress and recommendations for criminal charges against like a failure to answer a congressional subpoena, things like that? Do they die with each individual Congress, or can they be extended to a future Congress and Senate term?
I'm sure it's on a calendar, not on a Congress, but I don't know what they definitely have statute of limitations. I don't know what they are offhand. I'd have to look them up, but go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe if we can if there can be a winning Republican majority in the Senate, in the House, and having a Trump Justice Department, that maybe all three we could go after some of the miscreants in the Biden administration.
Yeah, thanks for the call, David. I'm I'm sure that will be a topic of conversation and much interest, depending on which miscreants you're talking about. That there's probably going to be a rank order priority, and everybody's list may be a little bit different, but that's certainly going to be part of the conversation. Scott in Sycamore.
Hey, Dan, Amy, good morning. How you guys doing?
Thanks.
Good. Yeah, this whole commercial thing with George Clooney and Julia Roberts, the one with Julia Roberts just makes me angry that she actually has the nerve to say in the beginning of the commercial, this is the only place where women are free to choose today.
Right.
Since when did we go backwards?
Yeah. No, it's thanks for the call, Scott. It's ridiculous. Of course it's ridiculous. It's this is, again, the hyperventilation of the desperate.
Well, I mean,
but I mean,
year
although
is this?
also,
like we're victims and we can't think for ourselves. We're like, oh my God, my husband's gonna beat me if I vote for Trump.
I mean, but again, the race hustlers think America is 1963 Selma. The shrill, ignorant Raffles, rich, angry, white female leftists. They think they're suffragettes back in the turn of the 20th century. I mean, it's just the game they run. John in Bridgeport.
Hey, guys. It's been a while. Just wanted to give my little war room prediction out of my basement.
All right.
I wasn't counting on this, but I was watching Pennsylvania, and I didn't know this, but like my son, first-time voter this year, the Amish and the Quakers are going to be the first-time voters in Pennsylvania that will put Trump over the hill there to bring in the victory with that one. Now, you guys, if Trump does win, can we finally close the book on Obama and his wife, or are they going to be sticking around for a while?
They live 3 miles from the White House. I mean,
yeah,
they've been running the place for the past few years.
Let's just focus on preventing Obama from getting a fourth term. Thanks for the call, John. By the way, he's right about the Amish. There's been a spike in registration among the Amish.
That's true.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the COVID lockdowns and mandates. Monica and Lyle.
Hi, guys. I was just wondering, Trump has promised an awful lot, and I'm getting a little nervous about all the money going out the door, basically, on his promises, and hoping he's actually learned something. And do you think there's enough to get rid of in the bureaucratic state, as it were, to do some of the things he's promised?
Thanks for the call, Monica. I mean, a lot of it depends on if he, assuming he wins, because that's the only way this question makes sense, what the majorities in the House and Senate look like. Because if he wins, they're going to have majorities in the House and the Senate. I'll guarantee you that. Right. So what that looks like, who the new majority leader is in the Senate, the appointments that he makes, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he's learned some lessons about the appointments he made last go around that were not great appointments, variety of reasons. So, there's, I think he is going to spend the political capital to move as quickly as he can to kneecap the administrative stay. The Chevron decision, the Supreme Court's last term, certainly helps. And again, with what Howard Lutnick, the principal at Cantor Fitzgerald, is sort of the point person on this transition team that we know was stood up 90 days ago, privately funded, is fielding applications, is trying to put together, essentially talent lists for different agencies and different positions within different agencies. It seems like there's reason to be optimistic, but nothing is going to be without incident, because there will be great tumult if Trump wins. There will be an effort by, obviously, the left to stop him at every turn, legislatively, judicially, in terms of litigation, the pending criminal trials that we still have to see play out, how that works itself out. I mean, I think they will be dispatched, but nonetheless, these are all open questions. So, I'm guardedly optimistic, but I mean, the November 5th, November 6th, that is the beginning, not the end. It's going to be a slog.
Well, guess what my church is doing on Election Day?
having a human sacrifice?
No, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can come in and pray because people are very anxious. So the pastors are going to be there to help them. And
Pray to Baal?
Well, then at 8 o'clock, there's going to be poem readings because our pastor let us know that.
Shouting your abortions?
No, that our pastor let us know that election results are not going to be in on Tuesday night. So we're not going to know anything Tuesday night, so don't worry. So come there and pray and read poetry.
Okay. Paul.
Song
Paul and
I'll ever write for you. It's the last time that I'll tell you that I'll be there. Hello?
Oh, hello, Jim. Is this Jimmy Shorts?
This is Jimmy Shorts. I'm backwards. I always sing when I'm in the bathtub. I used to take 40-minute showers, and my bill was so high, so now I'm just doing bathtub things. But the problem is I got to change the water every 3 days. Amy, I got a thing for you here. I want to go on a double date with you. Now, a double date's not what you think. It's not 4 people. It's just you and me. You'll pick me up. We'll go to White Castle. I got a coupon. It's not going to cost you much. And then the second part of the double date is the next day. We just go to a library and we wait. Anybody that has gastric announcements, boom, you've got to buy dinner next time.
Okay. Thank you. Do we need to get Kevin Matthews' approval to have Paul from Campton Hills on?
I know. I don't.
James Westmont.
Good morning, you two. I don't know how I follow that, but over here in Westmont, if you haven't heard, I'm not sure if you brought it up. They're also doing asking for tax referendum to build a new school. Problem is, they're not giving us much detail. Surprise, right?
Yeah. So vote against it.
Oh yeah, of course. We're the only ones on the block that has a no sign. So my wife's like, and she's asked like multiple times, hey, what's your plan? Where are you going to build this school? Whatever their stuff is. And it's met with crickets. They don't want to give us anything else. So it's like, okay, then we're not voting for it. They only said, it's only going to be about whatever $50 million. I'm like, okay, whatever that number is, double it, because that's usually what it comes out to.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, James. Speaking of ballot questions, up north for our friends north of the Cheddar Curtain there in Cheesehead land, don't forget we mentioned this yesterday with Senator Ron Johnson. There's a ballot question that explicitly bars non-citizens from voting in Wisconsin. So you want to vote yes on that. I mean, as if that isn't obvious, but amazing times we live in that is much in debate. Fred in Hammond, Indiana.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, the fall brings us the hunting season, and a lot of people have to rely on public property to hunt, and it's always crowded and dangerous. So just drive the back roads. When you find a farm with a Harris Walt sign on it, it's open season. They support open borders, and they realize you're just trying to feed your family.
There you go. Thanks for the call, Fred. But if you see Adam Kinzinger and that Dem Senate candidate from Missouri out there shooting, stay away.
Please.
You don't want to get winged. Prime Minister.
Oh, boy.
The Prime Minister.
Two quick haikus.
Haikus?
Through the bowels.
Haiku.
Wow. 575?
Yes. Through the bowels of the beggar, the crisp, ripe husk arrives unscathed. First vacacious Dan, how do you like that one?
That's not bad.
Second one.
Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead.
Said Tampon Tim, who's bald on top. I wish I could rotate the crop.
Oh my God. This is...
Okay, not bad. They're getting better. Do you have another one? Or is that it?
No, but I'm competing. I want to be the poet laureate of the morning answer. I think that this deadbeat duck said to the bartender, "Put it on my bill." But this is not the time for these witty, rare one-liners, the duck-billed platitudes. So now's the time for all good men to go to the aid of the party and we'll see you guys and tune in after the election and hope that there's good news for everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
PM.
very much. Oh, speaking of tampons, Gwyneth Walls, this 10 seconds of love. They're doubling down on the tampons.
You know, if kids are hungry in school, what that does to brain and learning, you're not going to learn to read. So if you're talking about learning to read and closing gaps, then you better take away the barriers for that. If that's tampons, then that's tampon.
Tampons are a barrier to read or the lack thereof?
Yes, it's a barrier. So if you need tampons in the boys' washroom, because I know so many men who menstruate, they're going to be available.
Good grief.
I mean, that family is, I'm sorry, the mom and dad are a little,
thanks.
Something's not right.
Thanks for the Gwen Walls. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good. Amy, always good. Always good talking to you. Another good week of topics, MSG, garbage, and playing some of the parody songs. Let me attempt to try to combine it all. I've been surfing the net for additional Kamala Trump parodies, and I had a thought. Someone should take the Rick Nelson song "Garden Party." I don't know if you ever remember it. It goes back to 1972, and offer a parody of that song. Maybe even rebrand it to Garbage Party with Tulsi, Elon, and RFK Jr. Maybe your listeners or poets, who's your poet laureate, can provide some lyrics to this parody song Garden Party with
Rick Nelson. Got it. Thanks for the call, Bob. We'll get that Joe from Arlington Heights, our poet laureate, right on that. I went into before we get to Chuck and Delavan, leave on a deep thought, not in the Kamala Harris variety, but in the real variety.
Okay.
And, as you go into the weekend, maybe it's probably decent. I mean, you can play golf. You can play golf this weekend.
I'm playing golf today.
Sean Connery on golf.
Okay.
Why do people play golf? What do you think the main attraction is? What's it do for you?
Well, if you play golf, you can't think honestly or do anything else when you're playing. I think it's the most revealing game that's out. I don't know if it's a game. It's something other than a game. I couldn't define it.
Lifestyle choice.
But it's obsessive and revealing. And a very healthy balancing factor, I think. Certainly is for me. And also it's one of the few games in the world that's really still got dignity as a game.
Certainly has class.
Yeah, no question.
You ever lose your temper?
Well, of course.
What do? You throw the golf balls or you throw the golf club? I slice a lot, so I have problems after about 9 holes, and if I'm still slicing, I get tired and I get irritated.
Well, you've got to find a way to close the face of the club.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, well, but it's endless, and as Jack Nicklaus says, it's an unfair game. And you have to accept it. It's like the life in that way. Also, it's also a game that you can cheat at. It's the easiest game in the world to cheat at.
As we learned in Goldfinger, I guess.
Yeah, well, the only one that suffers is you. Because you know. And you can't unknow.
Golf turns men into philosophers, too.
Or cheaters.
Chuck and Delavan.
Hey, how you doing? 11/5/55. That's my birth date. I'll be 69 on Tuesday, and I'll wake up and I guess I'll be a garbage man or Nazi. I don't know. But anyway, hey, this weekend it's really big this weekend. Mars. You can hit Snake Road and then go see Mars at 6. Amber Marie, one of the best singers in the state of Wisconsin, is going to be there. It's singing at Mars from 6 till 9. Right there by the piano bar.
Happy birthday in advance, Chuck. Thank you so much.
We'll see you tomorrow at Freedom Summits, 9 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
We haven't had numbers like this since COVID times. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Hiring last month was the weakest since December 2020.
Job growth stalled in October. Only 12